Ladies, gentlemen, and Paladins fans all over the world, happy Friday and welcome back to the Paladins Premier League. It's a great day and we have some great games to get your weekend started. I'm Dolson. Alongside me to start off the day on the desk, we have Rain Day.
Was that a black joke?
I didn't make it, so we're going to segue right on from there.
Just messing.
How's your Friday going so far?
It's going great.
Good.
We've got some great things ahead of us, some great esports matches. We've got some great playoffs for the NBA happening. The Bruins won last night.
Big win.
And so we're all feeling good. We all feel like there's a lot to look forward to today.
That's right, absolutely. We have some exciting matchups to look forward to. The winners from yesterday going against the losers from yesterday. So some big statements to be made. A lot of things to reflect back on, I think, for a lot of these teams. We'll take a look into the standings before these Friday matches get underway here. NIP, of course, what's changed? 8-0 up on top. Natus Vincere, Envy, Spacestation, Virtus Pro. Round out your top five, Kanga, Pittsburgh, and Renegades 6 through 8. And Pittsburgh, they had a tough start to their week yesterday. They're going to have NIP 4-0. I think that's probably the way a lot of people saw it going.
Yeah.
They have a chance to bounce back today, though.
To me, I don't feel why there's so much, angst around the Pittsburgh guys.
Yeah.
Pull out, guy. In terms of the overall arcing look, get that third, perspective, maybe above, how they say, like, kind of look at it like a bird's eye view.
Sure.
So you can look down on it. They're a team that's been beating everybody. You guys are admittedly not in the middle of the pack yet. That's where you're trying to get. It's something that probably should have happened on paper. You weren't able to turn the tide. That's okay. You're still growing. You drafted great. People are going to say what they're going to say. Take the confidence from what you did well yesterday. That's my biggest point of conversation.
I agree. And one thing that we sat down with Bonker to do a recorded pregame interview, and one of the things that he had kind of mentioned going into that Pittsburgh game was like they actually we think NIP think that they have one or two of the best drafts in the entire league. They sort of felt that Pittsburgh are one of the strongest drafting teams in the league, and they showed that yesterday. And they have a good chance today to bounce back, even at least keep it close today.
Yeah.
Virtus Pro, they had a big win yesterday as well. That's their opponent. So both of those teams, I think it'll be a statement day either way.
This is a game where today things are a little different, and you would be a little disappointed to not get this win because you've already beaten these guys before.
Right.
Sure, they're playing better, but so are you. They've got more time, but so have you. And you've already proven these exact five guys you can win and beat in Paladins. So now it's just about the day.
Right.
And now it means that you have to perform.
And let's look at our first matchup of the day. A team that has been performing, 8-0. Are NIP.
Scary stuff.
They've now made their run through all 7 teams and have started their second run through the 7 teams. The last time these two teams faced off, NIP 4-0'd SSG. They had a pretty close game on Serpent Beach, I believe it was. But it was a pretty handy day. Do you expect more of the same out of NIP today?
I think NIP will. I think today is a good day to look at SSG, but I think NIP will be doing more of the same of winning the set. Will they go 4-0? I think SSG, given they have a lot to prove again, and they've made some adjustments, and it's so soon that they were able to face off against NIP. I think they'll take a game or two, but I do think that NIP will still come through at the end of the day.
I think you have to also assume that at this point, we always bring it up. It's like at this point, teams had to have gotten enough film or played against NIP enough to kind of figure out what it is that's been going wrong. Maybe at the end of the day, they're just playing really good Paladins, and it's hard to beat that. At the end of the day,
you're right.
Skill always comes out on top.
I think Pittsburgh did as best as you could to pressure them out in the draft yesterday, and it had nothing to do with whether they won or not.
Yeah.
They are playing great Paladins. The only team that's going to beat them is a team that plays even better Paladins.
Right.
So
and it's just
I think SSG can do it, but I'm not betting on that yet.
Sure.
NIP have just been proven to take these tasks and handle them very easily.
No, I agree. Let's dive into the roster a little bit on the side of NIP. This has kind of been the meta of aggressive frontliner, sort of that flex player. Flex has been kind of a buzzword, I think, over the last few weeks, just being flexible on different players. Diggy Dog, yesterday he had some incredible games on Ashe. And some other team, they showed some reluctance to pick Ashe, and which raised some eyebrows for us. What does having a guy like Diggy Dog, who not only is really flexible, but also shows a willingness to play aggressive, mean for this lineup?
Well, I think, interestingly enough, they did mention that Ashe was something that they were surprised teams weren't picking up. Yet SSG might be the team to do it against them. It was really Virtus Pro who said that, Ashe not very prioritized. They like the Con, they like the Atlas, they like these other, the Ruckus. But I think that there is something to this Ashe, and Diggy Dog has proven it again and again. his ability to get onto a character that, yes, maybe in these matchups isn't as prioritized and treat it as a number 1 pick to get it 4th and then make it be like a first pick Khan or a first pick Makoa.
Exactly.
That's a problem. And so they do need to address the Ashe specifically in this matchup today, and Diggy Dog's going to make sure they know about her one way or the other. I expect him to be on her at least once or twice in this matchup.
I mean, it's tough to pick/ban that guy out. He's sort of shown a willingness to play sort of whatever and make it look really good. And yesterday, we got a little praise on Twitter because we showed a lot more of the support play yesterday.
Yes,
and I think that's important. I think it's a big thing. Bird, of course, the support here for NIP. And sort of in the same vein as Diggy Dog, honestly in the same vein as this entire team, he's shown a willingness to kind of break the mold of, the Damba or the Saris. He brought out some Ying yesterday. He's certainly a tried and true support player who can sort of play whatever in many different ways.
So incredible stuff. I mean, Bird's career has really been one for the ages in Paladins, and he will go down as one of the better Paladins players in the history of the game, even if you cut it out now, because his consistency, not only as a world champion, but his consistency through ups and downs to be able to guide a team, to provide true insight. And even if it doesn't work, like that moment where the triple tank was kind of like, was fading away, to know when, yes, I might get memed for this and people will not like it, but this is the right decision, and stick with that and get your guys believing in it and have it work in your 8-0 season right now. I mean, that to me says just so much about his character and his leadership. And I think that overall he's one of the more skilled players as well. One of the things I praised Mittal for, doing a lot of damage while also healing. Bird is one of those supports that definitely gets in on the fun when he can.
It's so important, especially if you're going to have a lineup that plays so aggressively, to have a good healer, a good support back behind you, and
crucial.
He's shown a willingness to sort of fit whatever mold the team needs him to fill. And really, I mean, despite being one of the more storied players in the league, he's really said, you know what, I'll fill the spot that you guys need me to fill. I'll truly support you in that sense. And that's been really important, I think, key to some of their wins.
And that's a great statement, Dave. I want to shout that out. I mean, Bird has done more than anybody else in this roster. I mean, you look at Alex, Diggy, Tenor, and you have the ability to kind of see these guys who have performed at a high level and are maybe stealing the show right now.
Right.
But Bird has been there, done that, and the willingness to say, you know what, it's about y'all, I mean, maybe except for Bonker, who was there with that first World Championship that he won. I mean, Bird's been doing it for ages. I love the selflessness, and that's part of the reason this team's working.
I know, I agree. It's exciting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see what they bring out today. A guy we didn't talk about just yet is Bonker, but we do have an interview with him standing by. Let's hear his thoughts.
We're in here comparing KDAs right now with NIP as they go through, and I'm standing here with Bonker. As we get ready, you're going up against SSG. Last week it was a 4-0, so I'm just wondering, do you expect anything really different from today?
I expect them to pick Atlas and Imani more, at least.
Just a little more overall. And that was actually one of the things last week. I think they got it in the first map, and it was Serpent Beach. It goes 4-3. That's like the longest game of that set. The next game, Diggy got it, and it felt like it just skewed all over. And pretty much I think it was 4-0, 4-1, 4-0. Do you think if they bring this Atlas, this Imani, is that going to trip you guys up a little more, or are you pretty much prepared for anything?
Nah, you saw yesterday what happened when Knights picked it. We don't care about those characters.
I mean, it sounds like you're set. The last question I have is, I mean, at this point, 8-0. You're looking at potentially a 9-0 after today. What team do you think is the next, like the team that can dethrone you? What is the team that is like the hardest matchup you've had?
Navi for sure. There's no question about that.
And that one was actually, I think, 6 games that came through. Is there anybody else that's kind of on your radar? Or are you looking at Navi perpetually as like the team to kind of take you out?
I mean, it's Navi that's the second team, but I've always seen Knights as our kind of kryptonite because they draft very good, I think. Other than that, I think we're good against every other team.
So yesterday, twice I want to say, I saw SSG not let Torvald through and kind of deal with him, and not exactly the best manner. It's still a 4-3 for them, but they got the victory. Do you think if Torvald comes through, is that like a big pick for you guys, or do you not really care about him?
I mean, we take Torvald if we get him for free, Like we don't mind that.
Being able to flex through, you've had everything you need. Overall, it looks like you guys are going to be successful, and I feel like at this point, 8-0 is happy. Even if you come out with a loss today, you'll still be fine, but they're feeling confident in here, so let's go back to the desk as we get ready for the next match.
Thank you, guys, and perpetually confident.
Yes.
This Bonker. I mean, he's such a fun guy to interview and talk to because he'll just tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Navi are the toughest opponents they've had, and he kind of struggled to find anyone else on the radar. It was a funny
Knights drafting? I guess
we beat him 4-0, but
yeah.
I guess they're the next one.
Well, a lot of respect, but again, you can draft well, but it doesn't matter. When you look at who's playing those characters, that's a big deal. And NIP should feel confident. They say they don't care about Atlas and Monty, but let's read a little bit into that. They talk about wanting to create the meta, then look to break the own meta they've created. It's like someone walking through the woods, setting up these footsteps, but being able at any point in time to hide behind a tree, know you're following them, and come out with the, with a branch swinging. I mean, at this point, NIP are doing such a good job of leading everyone down this, Atlas and Monty.
Right.
No one's figured out the pip, really. But Payan is a guy, and when we look at Pittsburgh, hopefully we talk a little bit about that might be able to, have an impact on a pip in the future matches. Obviously didn't do it yesterday, but didn't even play it yesterday. But it's something that I think if they figure that out, might start to get some results.
We kind of mentioned, we're playing the meta that everyone's playing this week last week, so we already know how to beat it, so it's fun to watch. Let's flip the script a little bit. Let's look over at the side of SSG. They had a bit of a tough day yesterday. I mean, that's a grueling 4-3 set to go through. So whether you win or lose a 4-3 set, I mean, it was basically a 3-hour-long set.
Yep.
That's mentally and physically. I mean, a lot of people would be surprised. That's physically and mentally draining to be playing that long and then to come out on the short end of that. That's kind of tough to go through.
And you forgot emotionally because Hecate and Puleule are very love-giving people. They're very empathetic. That's just part of being in Latin America, and it's part of that culture. They're kisses on the cheek. That it's really about caring for one another. And Sadak is their brother. I mean, to see him go down is simultaneously bittersweet because they got the win, but then they feel bad about the fact that they're not playing together again and how this all started for them getting in that semifinal. And I think when you look at this, yes, grueling, but are they even ready? Have they recovered from that moment? Obviously, Virtus Pro were the ups. Now, what's Sadak on the down? Losing. SSG definitely need him to perform. It's definitely got to be taxing going from that set to this.
No, I agree. Let's look at Ares, though. We didn't so much talk about the DPSs over on the NIP side, but Ares is, again, big, flexible back line. He's a god of war, as you call it. What do you look at out of a guy like Ares, especially in a day trying to bounce back?
Ares needs to be better than usual. Ares is a great role player. I think of him a lot as just a guy you love having on your team. He does a lot of the work of the DPS that isn't very pretty, that fills in so FRC God can shine, but he needs to do more than fill in today. He's got to win duels against Tenor. He's got to win 4 out of 10. He has to. He cannot go 1 for 10 in this set and they have a good time. And I think that that's really going to be also coming down to Alex. Alex fills a very similar role for NIP. Whoever's champion pool is I guess pressured in the drafting.
Right.
Ares is going to have to still show up somehow. There's a lot on this guy's performance today, but good thing he's smiling. He always is in good moods and good spirits, and even joking with us here.
Playing a little peekaboo with the camera. There's the wave. There's the smile. So obviously, at least at an initial glance, looking good and feeling good coming into this matchup today. Let's go back to the support talk a little bit. Mitau on the side of SSG. Again, one of the well-known supports in this league.
Yeah.
How important is he to this lineup? And again, what do you kind of look at him today?
Well, the damage that maybe sometimes isn't found for SSG, Mitau was finding. You can't expect him to do what he was doing yesterday. The amount of kills he was finding, the amount of clutch moments he had for his team is outside the expectation level of the support, but it's great if you get it. He was giving them that. If he just plays normally, they'll still be in a fine position, but he does have that star power where, you got to pay attention to him. You see him in the kill feed enough and enough. You see him with these stuns, and you're saying, where did that come from? You see him min-maxing these moments, choosing to heal rather than do a little bit of damage onto the Torvald, guarantees his damage carry stays alive. The right decision-making, that's what Mitau has been doing for years.
And, you call it last hit, you call it whatever, but it's so funny that when he's on the Damba, you're almost guaranteed to see a few kills start to roll through for him. That's sort of the point that you were just making. It's so important that, not only do you maintain successful healing throughout the game, but if you're able to, even just hitting those last hits, I guarantee these guys, some may or may not care as much, but at the end of the day, they just want to win. Like, if he's just saying, all right, I'll take all these kills, I'll help our team push it through. And
spit there.
It's a big
spit there.
That's right. Nick played like damaged Damba against me once and just mopped the floor with me. It's one of the most annoying things I've maybe ever played.
Even normal Damba is damaged Damba.
True.
He'll win a 1v1 because he can just heal himself. He's very, very good, and Mitau showing how good he was yesterday.
Absolutely. Well, the head coach of SSG, who's going to know how they're feeling today, is Kresnik, and we have an interview with him standing by.
Well, we're here with Kresnik as the team is getting ready. And I kind of want to know, I mean, last week, this is actually, I think, one of the few matchups we've had that's gone week to week where you've gotten a flip. Yeah. So you're coming in. Last week was an unfortunate 4-0. Serpent Beach looked pretty good. What exactly have you been doing in this last week to kind of prepare for NIP again?
I mean, obviously rewatching the game, seeing exactly what they did. That week, I'm not sure if I'd mentioned this before, but we had boot camped with like one team, and we really weren't prepared for the things that we had seen going in. Now we have some more info, obviously, moving forward. NIP looked very, very strong, but hopefully we could take what we got from that and apply it.
I think at this point, most people are looking for, well, let's just try to make it to a 4-3. Like, let's try to get to a Game 7. But, like, with NIP, do you see anything that's maybe, like, a weak point, something that you can, like, take against them? Or is it really just going to come down to in-game mechanics versus mechanics, who's better?
Are you really going to make me say that right now?
Well, I guess technically, yeah, you don't have anything. Well, yesterday, no you have stuff.
That's what I mean. Are you really going to make me
say
that?
Either way, I mean, you go 7 games yesterday. You have Virtus Pro. Are you feeling like this day is going to go maybe a little more successful for you, or do you think that this is going to be something similar to what we saw last week?
That's going to really depend on how well we reset. Because yesterday, I mean, losing a 7-game set is rough, you know, just on everybody. Because that's losing a 4-0 is almost better, right? Because you're like, well, what can you do, right? But then a 4-3, you're like, oh, it was right there in the clutch. So we'll see how well we've reset. We talked yesterday, wanted to get everyone up again, but hopefully that helps us out moving into the day.
Well, good luck in your games. We're going to go back to the desk and get this thing started. I already know what the first map is, but let's see if Evan can guess it.
All right, Evan, what's your guess?
Zero guess.
Zero guess.
Try that one.
To be fair, there are lots of maps to choose from. That would be throwing a dart at a dartboard and
try that one.
Maybe getting it to stick. The big takeaway, though,
ask me 2 years ago.
Ask me, right?
I would have had it for sure.
You would have had a much higher percentage chance of that working out. The big takeaway, I think, from that interview is kind of what we talked about. They were saying, I mean, yeah, a 4-0 is like, what are you going to do? They just played a lot better than us. But the 4-3, you're right there. And a lot of those maps go 4-3 as well. I mean, you look at maps 1 through 3 in that set, 1 point goes the other way, and they're on top of this set all of a sudden. And that's sort of the tough part, I think, that you have to look at.
Well, Frog Isle, map number 1.
That's what I was going to say.
You just didn't trust your gut.
Right.
You didn't go for it. So that's a good map to start this off. It's going to test these two teams. It's going to create a lot of momentum, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think that you should expect, a sniper here. I think if it's not banned, you should expect it. I think Tenor is brought out the Strix in such a strong way, but I expect to see Genos prioritized heavily in the bans or in the picks. It's something that was not available yesterday for NIP basically at all. And I think it really is something that they enjoy doing because they have such offensive-minded characters. And SSG, with a Strix ban, knowing how good Tenor is, might have actually done this to them. In fact, I'm not remembering that set perfectly, but he might have actually popped off on Strix against them, so making sure that's off the board.
I believe yesterday when we watched Frog Isle, SSG and VP, they both traded back sniper bans. NIP is not going to take away the Kinessa if she's not banned out here. Is that an immediate first pick for you for NIP?
I think
is she that important?
If you can get the only sniper, I think so. SSG are in a bit of a tizzy here because they have to, I think, ban both front lines. Luckily, they've taken away the Torvald both snipers here. Unless SSG want to go back and say, okay, you're going to do that, we're going to get the EV. I mean, you have to do it because giving Tenor the only one and then counting on your EV to be better than his Kinessa, that is FRZ God's great, but that matchup naturally favors snipers, so you can't give Tenor an inch of an edge. And there it is,
Guess
Makoa.
who it opens up? Yeah, the Makoa comes through. Not surprising, I think you mentioned it pretty well. Not wanting to let Tenor add Kinessa to that Twitter picture of all of his champion pool.
Exactly.
There's only a Strix right there as of now, which is probably
really?
why that first ban came through. But if Kinessa did well today, he might have had to Photoshop that picture with a little bit of an addition here. Makoa, though, first pick. Khan continuing his high priority. It's been fun seeing Khan come through a lot more given sort of the current state. Atlas has almost kind of filled that old Khan role in the ban column. It sort of bounces back and forth. But he's seen some good play over the past couple of days. And then Genos as well, continually one of the higher priorities. I kind of levied this question yesterday. On Frog Isle, both snipers are banned out. Does Leon suddenly take a higher priority?
I think Leon definitely, being that hit scan and then having the range of imminence, at least right now, definitely. But it's not something that I think they would I don't know if they'll rush it, because right now you do have a couple of other behemoths on the board, which is Cassie, and you have Ashe as well.
That's scary.
And it's very, very good against what you would assume will be, an Inara or a Barrack, and hopefully the Inara. The Barrack seems like a little bit more likely, but it's just so efficient in getting that damage off with no fall off here on this map. Eevee, though, going to be taken away, and this is, in many ways, I think for Alex, who's played very well on it, but very much a ban, essentially, against FRZ God.
Sort of a pick it to ban it sort of idea there from NIP. That's a scary front line they have going for themselves. Makoa rarely coming through because of how strong he is, and then Diggy Dog showing us how well he can play that Ashe.
Yeah.
That bumps Ashe up to a higher tier for me, and that's going to be tough for SSG to deal with in this case. We'll have to see which frontliner they end up picking. I mean, Khan can go toe-to-toe with those champions, absolutely, but it's sort of the 1-2 duo that I'm looking at from SSG.
I think you got to take Cassie here if you're SSG, but you're going to give up Amani, and so you're in a... Wow, so they go Amani. I mean, I feel like Big Game would be so good, plus the disengage in general against the Ashe is so strong. And NIP now take one of their strongest counters to their tanks. They're going to be able to have this and flex it onto, Tenor if you would like to go for it.
Is Cassie your pick then here if you're on NIP?
Well, I don't know.
I mean, it depends on their priority.
They don't need it as much. And like the Inara would have been amazing, but against the Barrack Khan, it's less than ideal. It's really against that Big Makoa in the Ancient Rage with 10k HP. Ashe because of she's so committed in that shoulder bash. And Inara because she can't move such big health. Maybe even a Ruckus as well. We do have the possibility of a triple tank here if NIP want to go that route, but I think they'll play it a little safer. I would expect maybe a Damba here. And then, I
mean, they're taking their time definitely
you could see a Leon.
To thinking really deep into this one. The Leon's still on the board. Leon was kind of in and out. Maeve, though, what are your thoughts on the Maeve?
Oh,
she wasn't even in the conversation we were having.
Definitely not. But you know what they're trying to do is really just be extremely aggro because they've drafted Makoa Ashe. None of them are great point tanks. The way that at least they play them, Ashe is so much more of an aggressive tank in Diggy's hands. Although she does have that shield build, it's going to be much more of a let's put our foot on the gas pedal and just make sure SSG have no room to breathe. So now this draft, they need to find a way to have some peel and have some pressure that could be put back. No Cassie available now. They're going to go for the Drogos. And you know what? I'm not mad at this at all. Where's the hit scan? You're going to rely on Maeve, really, to hit these shots. I mean,
that's a fair point.
FRZ got on Drogos here. It's a good pick.
I think it is. I think both teams, actually, honestly, the NIP lineup, for me at least, was looking really scary and aggressive through the first 5. SSG, I think, pull things back a little bit with that Drogos. What are some maybe win conditions that you see for either team here?
I think if you can get early pressure, and I'm curious if Drogos is going to go for more Wormjet style to just stay out of the reach because there's no one who could take advantage of him in the sky like that, or if he'll go combustible. There are a lot of great shields that will stop it off. There's a lot of ways Diggy on Ashe can get back onto the map as we have seen before. But it's going to be very hard for him to hit Eevee and Maeve. And so although there's no traditional hit scan, it will be a little, FRZ guy will have to show up and play. It's going to be about who plays better, baby.
Well, that's what it's all about. We have these two teams facing off for the second time in 2 weeks here. All 5 members for each side are locked in. Let's send it down to the casters to get it started.
These mics unmuted here, and the sleeves are rolled up.
The sleeves are rolled up. Mine are almost cut off.
The timepieces are ready to keep the pace of this set, Gore. The synergy is on point today. NIP,
keeping it locked.
They get a couple of things that we're not really used to seeing in the Premier League, a la Makoa and a la Maeve. How do you feel about it so far?
To me, this game, it's not over yet, but Makoa is such a big swing for NIP, and I want to relate this back because before the interview, I'm standing in the NIP booth, right, talking with the guys, but Mallory, one of our admins, is in there, and she asks the question, what's the chance we actually get to see Makoa again? Like, she's like, he's been banned pretty much every time, except for, like, what, 1 game early on? And it's just like, why is he banned all the time? I expect we're going to see the reason, but admittedly right now, he's doing pretty, well, not poorly, but he's locked down.
Well, the skies are commanded by Freeze God right now. Diggy Dog under pressure. Bird keeping this fight together for this long is such a Herculean task. Another pocket goes out on a Bonker. Almost bails out Bonker as well. Frankly, that fight was messy from NIP, and I give Bird all the credit for everyone making out of that one okay.
And there you see, I think the question that has been answered. Bittner is the one that takes out Freeze God, being able to lock him down a little bit. And Diggy, the one thing about this lineup that might hurt them, and the reason Bird is probably going to play such a huge role, is that admittedly Makoa, with the right amount of damage coming down from an Armani, from a Drogo's, like, you can burn his health bar down pretty quickly. He has a shield, he has the ability to get out, but it's going to be up to him to find the picks, kind of set up his team for those kills.
This is utter chaos right now. You can see Eevee flying around, Maeve up, down, in the air. Digidog is just barreling down the stair side of the map. NIP in the chaos will capture and go ahead. It looks like it will be Cat Burglar for the Maeve as well. That was something I was very curious to see as we loaded into this game. We've been seeing a couple of different styles in the minor league. A little bit of Street Justice at the start of this season, but now a couple people have started to migrate over to Cat Burglar.
And I feel like it's just because that initial burst. Granted, it's nice to be able to execute people, but when you're looking at Khan, you're looking at Barrick, not exactly the tankiest guys. Like, the most you have is that one, you can pounce through shields, so maybe you get that execute a little more often there. But for the most part, you're looking at 3,400 plus health to 4,000 health that you have to burn through, which is going to be 2, 3, 4 sets of daggers, really, with any assist from your team.
There it is. Dragon Punch coming out as well, and it will connect on the bunker. Loses his life almost immediately for it. Genos doing his best to keep everyone topped off, but that's just not the way Genos likes to heal. Ice Storm comes out from Eevee on the low ground. Mitao maybe looking for a snipe, has through time and space charged up. A couple people pushing around the corner, but the kills continue to fall all NIPs away. That Frostfire Glide ain't fast enough to get Ares out. And just like that, it's almost 4 for nothing for NIP as they continue their iron march towards conversion.
And the thing that's kind of confused me, and I guess it kind of makes sense in the long run, but I just can't imagine we live in a world right now where Ashe was picked up by NIP and it's not Diggy playing her. And it's just the fact I think that Makoa is open. Kind of expected that to see Bonker on the Makoa, but he's going in for the Ashe. Unfortunately, doesn't get his ult off there, so he's going to be locked down. Diggy right off the map into the drink. And so it's going to be a little bit of a stall for SSG, but I mean, they're using a considerable amount just to make sure they hold what is probably one of the easier pushes and shorter pushes in the game.
I'm curious to see how SSG approach this next fight, because Bonker died mid-ult, so they almost know that going into this final fight, NIP are coming in with the idea of using ultimates. They know they want to get this conversion. There wasn't anything particularly special or particularly favorable about that last engagement. Bonker just got in there deep and he wanted to use his ultimate for it, but he ended up getting picked off just before. There was a heal that didn't quite connect. Now with a pick on the board, a 1 for nothing, NIP are going to be looking for this, but look at that, Mitao equalizes. Tenor makes it a 2 for 1. Ultimate starting to be spent by either side.
And that's one of the things when you look at Maeve, these are not hit scan daggers, but if you get close enough, the arc is usually not enough to make you miss, right? It's going to be difficult from the ground up, but she has enough mobility to jump up there and get face-to-face with Drogos and lock him down.
A lot of these daggers landing. Bonker frost bombed out on the objective. He's going to go down. That's a nice shot from Digidog. Makes it just easier for Tenor to grab that kill. Shell spin is not enough to get this one back onto the map, but it is enough to draw everyone away. Alex gets the kill onto Rashao and onto Ares, and that looks like it created enough space to get that conversion home.
And admittedly, that's going to be a win no matter what. Look at all the ults that were consumed. There were 3 ults, I believe, used by SSG just to try and find that, and they didn't even get the defense. They don't have the Dome Shield, they don't have the Overpower, and they don't have the through time and space. So the Dragon could make a big difference. It kind of depends on whether or not NIP have been going into Bulldozer, because we saw yesterday how much one Eevee shot can do. And right now it's actually only Bittner with the Bulldozer too. But then they have a Dragon Punch. So you can get rid of Bonker, you can get rid of Diggy, and I assume they're going to be holding that, waiting for an Ancient Rage to be popped to try and just get rid of that 10k health.
Diggy dumps a couple of credits into Bulldozer 2 as well. Let's take a quick peek at Makoa's loadout before we get to this fight, as this is the character we do not get to see very often. A little bit of Rampage, movement speed on Elim. Resets, fairly balanced loadout, little determination as well, just for the pocket. Like what I'm seeing here.
Well, there's the Dragon. I love the way Ares is playing that. He kind of dips down below the ground. Unfortunately, it's still enough for Bittner to be able to find the shots. The angle is just right. And I mean, it's still very chaotic in terms of a fight, but it's still NIP all in control. They're the ones up in Spacestation's face.
There it is. Digidog goes down to the Dragon Punch. The Dragon is shredded out. It's an early 81-0 lead, and NIP still have their biggest ultimate left on the board. The fear is good from distance from Bird. He'll throw a couple of auto attacks into Sadak. as he attempts to vainly contest this payload that is, again, going all NIP.
And this is one of those moments, this is, I don't even want to say warranted just because Makoa was picked, but I feel like you're seeing aggression that NIP might not even be able to bring unless they had something like Atlas Ashe or Makoa Ashe or Khan Ashe. Like, it's two aggressive front lines getting in your face. Ancient Rage still hasn't been used, so if you're looking at this payload, already started off better than the last round. They're coming around this last corner. All of a sudden, you need an ult. Ancient Rage in the face, you get a couple kills, and you win the game.
There it is, double pocketed by the turrets. Diggy Dog's getting pocketed by Bird. As anytime I think NIP can get two top-tier aggro tanks, they probably will. And they have the versatility in their champion pools to be able to follow that up. Mave not common either. Time and space barely off the mark. Tenor hits the midnight. Everyone's vision is stripped away on SSG.
Trying to do whatever they can. Nice daggers. Put Sadak in kill range. And Alex is going to be able to clean it up. And this is one of the few moments. A double flank has come through. And admittedly, the Eevee is the one that's least surprising. And admittedly, maybe a little quieter overall than Bittner right now on this Mave.
I have to say, SSG are doing a good job at matching the aggression, punching back against SSG, not being afraid, not sitting on their laurels for too long. These are pretty vicious attacks from NIP. They're popping Ancient Rage. They're getting deep into these fights early on in the round. But SSG doing a good job getting their hands up, backs against the ropes, but they are staying alive.
The big things right now are going to be Overpowered coming up. They have another Dragon that at this point is almost necessary to try and find a defense, and a Dome Shield to come through. Ancient Rage has been used. A couple of more ults coming up. Dread Serpent specifically will buy space for NIP, but they have to be able to come in. Now the Dragon looks like it's going to be coming out. No, not the Dragon as they come through, or he's flying around the corner. He burns at least one.
Tanner got a little bit too close to the sun on that one. May have been trying, as soon as he heard the audio cue, went for a good read on Amani where she's standing. Maybe I can pick her off. But the Dragon was still close by for the defense. 30 seconds on the clock now. Big ultimates still need to come up for NIP. 26% on the Ancient Rage, 80% on the Midnight. Those were used about at the same time. So that just goes to show you how much quicker Midnight is, not only to charge, but you know the poke damage from Tenor's Mave has been coming out very, very fluidly this game.
And now 12 seconds left on the clock. The healing still coming through. Ancient Rage not available, but you do have a certain dominance, and he's going to go up onto the high ground. Double stun in the Dome Shield. Might not result in a kill, but at least buys him some time and some space.
Oh boy, they're low right now. A Fire Spit could do big work. One will come around the corner. Big hook lands on a Khan, but it's two in a row for the SSG support. Overtime is still burning. Diggy Dog spins like a madman. Mid-town, big rotation around. Laser beam's no good, but this fight has gone all SSG all the time. Dome Shield was spent to match the assert dominance, but again, remember, SSG are not out of this yet.
Overpowered coming into this round, Dragon Punch coming into this round, and if used properly, that is two front lines, both without ult on the side of NIP, that you can get rid of and potentially keep SSG in this game. Honestly, with the way that push started, I thought we were looking at a 7-minute 4-0. Like, this was looking like it was going to be one of the fastest games you could have, let alone one of the fastest games of the Premier League.
Well, you saw that Fire Spit combination with the Dragon Punch, dealing with Alex and Diggy Dog, two of the biggest threats on this NIP roster. But the way they draft and the way they play, everyone feels like a threat. I mean, they are all playing past half court whenever they possibly can. Bird sits on the objective dutifully, and sometimes he has to heal, sometimes he can throw a couple auto attacks out. But this might be it. Everyone is spending them if they got them. Credits being put as low as possible. Things like morale boost, little utility things being picked up. Midnight is popped. SSG has no vision and no way to approach this fight. As it starts to fade, NIP have complete map control and an 18% lead on the objective.
Luckily, that Cauterize coming online is making it a little harder for Bird to do what he was doing at the beginning of the game, which is keeping everyone alive.
Gotta dunk her straight
Eevee,
down.
She has to be tossed straight, or you have to kill her outright.
They live.
But as of right now, nothing's come out of it, and that's probably one of the most unfortunate ults.
Alex not only back on the map, but he gets a kill as well. FRZ again, he's gonna have to pull another rabbit out of the hat, diving deeper and deeper on the NIP side of the map. Can he hit the rockets when it matters most? Tenor takes him down. The rockets are missing. SSG get a little bit of comeback mechanic. Ares with a very safe Dragon Gormizer. I don't even know if this one's gonna make it to the objective or to NIP. Big damage comes across the way. It buys a little bit of time for them to capture with this comeback mechanic, and you gotta say it was worth at least something.
Ice Storm is available right now. Ancient Rage is coming up. 97%, but you can contest this if you're NIP. You can go back in, and that's exactly what they're going to be looking for. Get Sadak off the point, take back control for them. It's 99-36, so they can't leave the objective, but if they just play this aggressively, they should be able to maintain control.
Those are big shots from Alex. They didn't quite land. Digidog does get the Ancient Rage. This is it, the last hope for NIP to bounce back in this round, but he's swinging wildly at air on the objective. Nothing for him to snag, nothing for him to grab at this point. Ares finds the frag on a bird. Hook off the map is good, but without any sustain, I don't know if NIP can last.
Doing whatever they can. There goes FRZ. Got Bittner's back in it, but a nice Void Grip stops him from touching, stops him from getting an overtime, and that buys SSG a little more life in the fight.
Well played, well executed there on a lot of fronts for SSG. And it could have gone even better. I mean, overpowering not onto Eevee, I think, is a good call there. If you do want to do that, you got to dunk her almost straight. You almost got to put her face like a swirly, like a bully in middle school, into a kill volume somewhere, because she will be able to blink, be able to soar, do things to get out of that overpower, and it wasn't very effective. Alex got back onto the map, still found some kills. But overall, what else did you like about that fight from SSG?
I like the way they used the dragon, because while it doesn't seem like it was getting anything immediately, like it's not, oh man, this came through and got 3 kills and changed the game. It was just, you can't touch the point. Like, you can't come over here. You have to take time either figuring out how the angle to shoot this dragon, or you have to come onto the objective where I can just shoot you with the dragon. So just being able to come out and charge that up in a good time, you could actually see SSG potentially turn this into a 3-3.
Well, 2 for 1 so far. Tender's diving, trying to salvage this fight, and he will so far. Ares with 2 off the back of a beautiful frost bomb. Diggy matching the aggression of Tenor. Up over the top of the block. One final cannonball shot will do it. Trying to rotate out and stay alive as best he can. Tenor's done a lot in this fight, but he's still going to go down to FRZ God in the back line.
That is an obnoxiously close payload, I would say, for SSG, because it's that moment of we were almost there. And now we have a couple of ults. Do we want to commit to this, tying it up 3-3? This is the fight that normally doesn't get to come up that often. If you tie it up here using your ults, is it worthwhile because you're going into a 3-3 point fight without?
Well, Digidog's on his last legs here. Bird lands the heal, but he's about out of sustain. Nothing left to give Diggy. Gord slams down on the objective. SSG very, very cleanly. No ultimate spent. This is going to be a 3-3 showdown on Frog Isle with 9.91 ultimates available in this game. Almost everyone's got it online. Tenor with some very dangerous daredevil dives to the back line. Paying off for him largely, I would say, but FRZ, he's just been able to command the skies. There's no hit scan threat. There's nobody who's really great to take him down.
And early on, Maeve was that person who was kind of getting in his face, locking him up, but that hasn't been happening. Bittner's not been able to get there, and that's the one thing FRZ got, I want to say, took a little bit to turn, like, get online, right, for his mind and being in the zone with Jogos. At the very beginning, a couple of the rockets weren't hitting. It didn't look or feel like the Jogos we're used to seeing out of him. Now he's hit that point. He's hit his stride. He has the Wrecker as well, which is partially punishing Diggy, because every time he gets aggressive, he almost immediately goes for the shield, and every single time it gets burned down, and he almost loses his life.
Well, there's the Midnight. I want to take one quick peek at the items again, because I'm thinking the best way to take FRZ down, especially if he does have resilience too, so maybe this wouldn't work. Time and space from Midtow, though, shuts it all up. Diggy Dog goes down early on in this fight. Unable to use his ultimates. This is bad because NIP have spent a lot to get the map control that they had, and now it's all crumbling in front of them.
Well, this definitely shows that SSG have been doing their homework. Whatever happened last week, right now it's being rewritten, but it's still 3-3, and it's 33-15. This Dragon's going to get aggressive. It's going deep, but you can see the health bar just dropping with every dagger coming down from Bittner. Going to be able to get rid of that. And now you can go back in. One Dragon Punch, and Assert Dominance, and an Ancient Rage on the side of NIP.
Nearly there for Overpower as well. Assert Dominance to the backline. Dragon Punch is looking for Diggy Dog. Will it find him? Diggy Dog spins into it. Misread there. But of course, FRZ God is going to go down. Tenor does a good job to follow that up. Counter it out. Bonker. Nice shoulder bash to weave himself out of this fight. Tenor is going huge. He finds 2 more low behind the pillar. Bonker's down his last line of defense. It's all up to Tenor now. He has no one left in front of him, but he finds another kill. Bird's pocketing him, trying to keep him alive. Diggy Dog rotates in. Another Midnight. Ancient Rage is still available.
Doing whatever he can, just trying to set it up, but they don't need it to get rid of Sadak. Now you can expect Rachao coming back into the fight. No overpower, nothing to his name other than his health bar. Admittedly, it doesn't look like it's going to stay alive too long. Diggy's in the face. Diggy. He's looking for an Ancient Rage, but he's not. No, he's going to get it off. He's in the fight still.
Narrowly good. Almost goes down about half HP. The boys are following in behind him, filing in 99%. It's just too much much pressure. Head in his hands. It was tough. It was maybe a little bit more tough than it needed to be, but NIP scraped by with a win.
I mean, that was almost a mirror of last week's Serpent Beach, where it's very back and forth, like SSG look really strong on it, and they take it to 3-3. And then at the very end, it's just the fact that the last point fight goes in NIP's favor. It goes back and forth for a little bit, but they come back in aggressively and take control.
So what goes wrong there? I mean, in my opinion, Tenor gets just too many kills.
Yes.
I don't know if that's like popping off. I think he does a good job playing around Diggy Dog as long as he can. Then he dies. Then he rotates behind Bonker, plays along him as long as he can. That was a critical fight, and I think Maeve landed as many shots as she needed.
Not only that, but he was like dodging line of sight from Barrick and from Genos. Like at the same time, he's like, okay, if I put this pillar to my left, then I know for a fact I can go for this fight. Like I can take this 1v1. And then I move up to where he was. I take this 1v1. And like he just moved around SSG, and none of them could leave the objective to take him down.
Well, maybe the Brazilians known for their dance moves, but NIP are tangoing their way to a Game 1 victory. Let's get it back to the desk and keep the set moving.
Well, if you weren't awake at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for some reason,
I am.
You are now.
Yeah.
And if the rest of the set goes that way, I think we're all going to need a nap by the time today is over. But what a way to start off the day. It was 3-0. NIP looked, phenomenal to start off. It looked like they were going to take it 4-0. But what a fight back from SSG.
Yeah, 1 defense, 1.1, 1 full push. They matched NIP every blow, and just at the end, miscalculated. And it was really the intelligence of Diggy Dog to have that ultimate in reserve, but how much could he have really done? He got through time and space. 2,400 damage, went out of the window a little faster than he would have hoped for, and that was a big credit to Midtown. But, NIP, they timed that fight so much better.
They did.
It's crumbling if you're an SSG fan because you're like, that was in our grasp. We could have won that one.
I think I agree with Nick in that if you break it all down to that final fight, it was really on Tenor staying alive as long as he did. He was able to extend that fight for so much longer without any support behind his back, and that allowed the rest of his team to come get into it. 132,000 damage for the Maeve. That was kind of the question mark, and, well, I guess Tenor answered it. What are some stats that maybe stand out to you here? 20 and 8, that stands out.
That's definitely one. And 13 and 6, we talk about how good Aries had to play, but he's winning maybe 4 out. He really won 5 out of 10. Which is great. But FRZ God didn't give you that performance against no hit scan as well. Died quite often. And to me, if he was just a little more locked in, there were several fights we talked about in the beginning. In the first round, he had Diggy Dog really low. One more rocket, the right fire spit, it gets a kill. He had the same thing with Bonker. Every single fight, there were moments where just a little bit more min-max, and that's a triple kill. Drogos is in the sky. No one has a chance against him. But NIP, give credit to Bird specifically, keeping his front lines alive, giving people extra chances. It was so hard to finally finish anybody off that you could see why FRZ kind of died a lot. He got baited into situations.
Across the board, too. Midtown on the opposite side, he had some huge plays on the Genos just as well. So hats off to both supports for really keeping their team in this one. I think if you're on the side of Space Station, though, you have to hold your head high after that one. Even though you go down 4-3, being able to fight back like that and being that close, we saw some smiles on the player cams after the game. So I think you got to take away the good from this match.
And then the other moment here, Dave, is that they think Diggy Dog doesn't have Ancient Rage, and they almost kill him during the commander's grab. That was the moment, and there was no coordination to it. It was a panic. That's how it is in these 3-3 situations. Game 1 against NIP and SSG, two great teams. You're not thinking as clearly, but if they kill him just a half a second earlier, they probably do win this point. But there were little moments, and we talked about Bird, we talked about Diggy on the Makoa. There was just a lot of actual mistakes on both sides, and there was also some great play. And Tenor, he stole the show as far as the damage dealer, made the Maeve work. Not easy to get done, but
no, definitely not.
Got it done.
What's exciting? That's one of the faster-paced maps that you can have right out of the gate onto Frog Isle. So it's going to be fun to kind of see where we go from here. Maybe a slower-paced map favoring one team over the other.
I do have my thought I was going to say. Sadak and Rachel switch roles, and I'm not sure why that was. Sadak is almost always on the con. He's almost always the off tank, the ruckus player, the Ash player.
That's true.
He was on Barrack, and Rachel is normally the. I mean, this guy plays. I want to look at how many games he's played. I think he's played Barrack 96% of the time in all of his games. Rachel literally just like only plays Barrack, and I love him for it. But he is such a Barrack main, and so why did that switch happen? It's something I'd love to ask Kresnik about. And my only thought is Sadak maybe feels like under this moment in this pressure against this team, he needed to take the role that he felt was most important to the squad. But I noticed Rachel was not as aggressive as we've seen some cons be. He was in the back line quite often.
It's absolutely true. I mean, maybe changing up play styles a little bit because of how aggressive NIP can be. Either way, the bans here, they're going to get rid of the pip, which I think is smart on Jaguar Falls. You know that if that's up, that's something Tenor is so comfortable with.
Definitely.
The other 3 bans, pretty standard. The Ash as well, I mean, that's not necessarily a non-traditional ban, but I think that's very heavily. Diggy Dog is incredible on Ash. Let's get rid of that as well.
Yeah.
So a good ban sort of in 2 facets there, but they're going to get the con, they're going to get the Genos as well. Steal over the Atlas for themselves, though. Looking at Jag Falls, what are some picks that maybe you expect or hope to see come through here?
Well, Tyra. Tyra is one thing that we've seen teams go to in a 5th pick that augments a composition, whether it's more damage amp or whether it's just adding some damage amp, some pressure in general. I think Alex has played it quite often, and we've also seen Ares play it. Ares is, however, the Imani player for this team.
Right.
So what you're looking at now is SSG filling out for FRZ God, the Eevee on the table, the Drogo still on the table, maybe the combustible style here. But it's really going to heavily depend on what NIP want to bring out. The Bomb King as well, something he'll easily go to here.
Absolutely true. And NIP have shown a willingness to, and for good reason, go towards that double amp. They get the Genos and then add in a Tyra, maybe further down the road, going into their bank time here. I mean, Atlas, Imani, Barrack, that's a strong first 3 to bring out. Cassie now coming out to see some play as well.
This is a hot team.
Fernando.
It is
what
like
are your
a normal
thoughts?
team, but
4
with
picks
me
in for
in
NIP.
I think they have a good lineup. Again, you can go
Choose your words
BK
carefully,
or you can go
heathen,
Tyra. That's
for they
the
are your
flexibility of
last.
Tenor and Alex. But there's no chance now. SSG going to grab that one up. So Damba here to round out the squad. The Tyra will be on their side. So both forms of damage amp. This is going to hurt against the Khan and the Fernando specifically, although they have a few ways to get out of it with just immunity where no damage is hitting them. I think SSG do themselves a service by taking it. And it'll be very good to help maybe burst down this Eevee in her windows of vulnerability.
It's going to be exciting to see play out. And now that we have all 5 in for both sides, you assume it's going to be Alex on the Eevee and Tenor on the Cassie as well. So definitely a treat to watch there. And then Tyra and Mani on the opposite side. How you feeling about both lineups given Jaguar Falls?
I didn't mind Ares Imani, but I think he has a much heavier matchup here because he's really in the driver's seat of the matchups with the slows, with the roots. He's going to be setting stuff up for himself and for his teammates. And FRZ God is a little bit under pressure because Eevee and Cassie can get to him and get away from him, and he can't chase anyone down unless maybe a crossfire at the right time. They're going to have to do a good job of keeping him healed up when he gets under pressure, and he's going to have to be very impactful with that firebomb to ward off what NIP like to do, which is get that initial pressure on the point and put SSG under pressure.
So is that what you look for out of NIP, just to continue the aggression?
I think so. We're going to see a very hot and heavy matchup here.
Well, we would all be blessed if that were the case, but given
Nice
these
gen.
2 teams, wouldn't be expecting anything different. NIP snagged game number 1 just barely. We're about to head to game number 2 to see if SSG can bounce back. Send it down to your casters.
Game 2 here on Jaguar Falls, about ready to get started up. Pretty much a slower map, I think, when you compare it to that Frog Isle. A bit of a switch up here. Ares will be playing Tyra. Freeze God this time will be playing Splitting Ice Imani. The pit ban, though, is the big thing to me, man. I think that was a great move by SSG.
And it was a really smart way to just try and control Bittner a little bit more. Now he's going to be on the Cassie, which we've seen him do perfect on in the past, honestly. But will it be able to come in this game? You know, I actually don't know if I've seen him play in a little while, so it is going to be something that might be a little more uncomfortable. But again, I think we've said this enough, but NIP, you can't really make them uncomfortable.
Well, they're looking for the full surround here. Alex starting to creep his way into the flank position. Diggy Dog misses Commander's grab. Bonker's falling lower and lower. Setback forces Diggy Dog away from this SSG lineup. Now it's 39% to 36%. Pretty much dead even. No kills just yet, but look at this. Atlas looks like he is about to be the man out of time.
I mean, being able to take him down, unfortunately losing Bonker in reply. But you're not losing really that much pressure on the point. It's 42-39. You can see Diggy kind of playing around this angle right now. It's going to be a little more difficult, maybe a little more irritating for him to try and push into those turrets on the side of Barrick. But I mean, they can come in, they can solve this whenever they need because they have that Eevee.
There it is, more splitting ice landing. Frost Bomb's good on the Diggy Dog as well, but the shield has plenty of HP to work with. Tenor takes down Ares. Bird making a nice rotation. Void grips up. Heals going out as much as possible. Even time to hit a little spray on the wall.
Well, hey, I'll throw it out there. One of the things that Bonker in his interview was saying about what he hoped to see today was the fact that he was kind of hoping to see Imani and Alex played a little more from SSG, and that he kind of counted on it based on what happened last week. And now they're coming through, and it seems like even though they've brought that, it just doesn't quite match the level of NIP.
Very nice sequence from Eevee here. Alex doing a great job. The Ice Storm could have been better, but everything else was on point. Battle Shout onto multiple members. Part of the reason Khan is just so damn valuable. I mean, you get that grouped up, you get that 1,000 burst heal from a frontliner that has a free kill on his ultimate. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
And like, I can't remember the last time we saw Khan in the middle of the other 4 teammates and like that perfect moment, right? Where it's just like, cool, we're gonna pile in on this Barrick. Like, it's like your dream, right? Everyone's killing Barrick and then everyone gets a burst heal on your team. Like, it's everything that you would want.
Little big game here onto the Dragon. And I'll be honest, I'm starting to see some interactions like the Dragon. Watch when it dies, if they can kill it here, if it'll just time out. Watch the kill feed. It pops up in the kill feed when it dies and it just times out there so we don't get to see it. But Enlightenment kills the Dragon, you get the 50% back. Big game works on the Dragon, so it's like the Dragon is in some ways considered a deployable and that Bulldozer counters it, but in some ways, with the kill feed and with the big game, it's like it is also treated as a player, you know, or a player, I don't know, pawn, if you will, in some cases.
And being able to have those small things like that amount of practice, knowing things like that and those interactions are probably what keeps some of these teams maybe a step ahead of the Imani being able to come through. She can look really good in the right hands, but if you know maybe just some of those small details like, hey, if I Enlightenment this, I'm going to get 50% back, then all of a sudden, cool, it's at 1,600. I'm just going to pop it.
And we all kind of were asking, and Dave called it, but I was like, well, I don't know if that's how that's supposed to work. And then we just went up and asked Tenor. He's like, I don't know. I got the charge back. I don't know if it's supposed to work that way, but that's what happened in the game. So that's the way that we got to play around it going forward. 55 on the clock now. Little deja vu, the AoE setback talent being run by Sadak here on Jaguar Falls. Here comes the overpower to open up the fight.
Unfortunately, not going to get the kill. Tries to toss the Barrick off, but I think he bounces off of the wall, so he comes right back into it, stays alive, keeps the shield up, and now is going to continue contesting. That overpower, it's a free kill, but you got to take the time to aim.
That's a nice Immortal. Couple of kills come through as well. Diggy Dog low on HP, so he's got to be a little bit slower. Just having that Genos heal, it's not as easy for him to get back in the fight off the back of it. Nice shot from Alex there. Rashao will be the last one left standing to contest. We'll start Jaguar Falls as we started Frog Isle. SSG have to find a way to bounce back.
You know, last map when it was Mitao, and this map when it's Bird, I actually really like the way they're playing Genos because they're doing, it's not even anything like out of the ordinary, but it's just, I'm going to heal you, and then immediately I'm going to go into the into shooting. Like, I'm not sitting back and just being a heal machine. I'm not looking for crazy snipes. Like, I'm just going to play around my front lines, around my DPS, and I'm going to make sure that my numbers matter. And that's one of the things Mitao was doing last time, where it's just, I'm going to trace this Maeve a little bit for you. And here, there was significant kills. I actually think Alex in that 1v1 against Ares, he was too low health. I don't know if he comes out of it unless he has Bird helping him take that down.
I mean, Genos damage, it just matters at this level. It really just it matters. Look at this time and space. Comes out, can't find anyone here. Sadok's done a great job at slowing down. This is like the favorite angle to push from Diggy Dog and the boys. Tenor usually goes this way with the pip if he can. But Alex finds a very early frag on Ares, and Diggy Dog is allowed through. Sadak not able to slow him down with any setbacks or exiles, things like that. Exiles popped. Looks like one lands on a Bonker. The Dragon popped as well, but almost immediately brought down. The Dragon Slayers here. NIP are up in the faces. This is the style that NIP have been running rampant with in the PPL. They get in your grill, they make you uncomfortable, and they make you make mistakes.
And that was the thing. Last game, it almost seemed like SSG was matching it. At the very beginning,
nice bomb.
it was probably like the most hectic fight I've ever seen on any map. But for Frog Isle, it was just jumbled. Everyone is everywhere. Who can take control? And NIP was able to 2-0 at the beginning, but then it seemed like SSG found the way to match them. But it almost seems like it's starting to fall off, right? Like they just can't keep up that amount of aggression all the time.
Big crossfire comes out, doesn't get a lot of value, disengaged and dealt with away. From a long distance, Tenor hits a big Cassie combo, takes down Ares to boot eventually. Then unfortunately is traded out by Sadak. 2 minutes on the clock here. Digidog answering back as this payload continues its momentum off the gate.
Momentum, pressure, whatever you want to call it, all these words will apply for NIP right now. I just think, I mean, they're just playing a different style. They're aggressive. They don't get punished for it somehow. And that's the thing that just makes it so much more impressive is the fact that they're doing this regularly against every other team in the league. I mean, even in the pregame interview, like getting asked, you've faced everyone at this point, who's like the biggest threat to them? They're like, well, it's Na'Vi. They still beat Na'Vi in a 4-2. Like, they have had only 4-2 or 4-0 sets, and it just feels like NIP are a different beast.
People trying to play catch up. The meta's moving so fast because they're moving it. That's something that hasn't really happened much before. People were happy to just live by the mantra of if it's not broke, don't fix it. Whereas NIP week in and week out are continuing to try to evolve and continue to be versatile and beat what they played last week because they feel like everyone is, of course, playing catch up to them.
Yeah.
Figuring out what they're doing, analyzing what they're doing, trying to do that the next week. But if they've already got an answer to what they did last week, then they're in a good spot to continue their undefeated run. Overpower comes out, hasn't gotten a kill yet again. Digidog 0 for 2 on these overpowers, which usually are pretty easy to get kills with on Jaguar Falls. Those have got to improve, those have got to be better.
I mean, that was one of the moments this time yesterday. You were watching him play Ash on Jaguar Falls, and I think that was a very appropriate ban from Spacestation Gaming because all of a sudden you're not seeing him have maybe quite as big of an impact overall. Like, Khan is very good. Khan is good on this map, but with the overpowers, like you said, going over 2, and when you look at what Ash was doing yesterday, it's just making not quite the same level of plays that NIP were in control of.
A lot of damage coming out. Ares gets clipped on the corner. It's enough to allow the angle for him to be taken down. Digidog's in a tough spot here. 5 seconds left. Bonker's dismounted. We know he loves to go for those cheeky backdoors, and he probably damn well would have if he didn't get spotted out there, but SSG hold a very, very nice defense.
And coming into it, 3-1. Looking like a repeat of last map, honestly. Everything starting out the exact same way. Items come online, so SSG have potential for the late game. But I mean, if they take this 3-3 and lose the point again, that honestly is more demoralizing than if you lose this as a 4-0. I mean, even Kresnik at one point had said that, where it's just, if you lose 4-0, you can kind of shrug it off. Like, it's a bad feeling, but it was quick. When you lose a 4-3, whether it be a game or a set, you just spent, you know, maybe 20 minutes or, depending on the set length, 3 hours, and you came up short at the very end.
3, 2.
Well, when he teamed with Anjadoodle, Alex didn't play Eevee ever. Barely played it at the start of the season. It was something we praised him for flexing onto, and now this feels like a full-fledged comfort pick. This is not a very common thing, I should say, to see on Jaguar Falls. So the fact that he goes to it now is definitely speaking volumes for how much he loves this character.
I'm looking for a good time and space. Immortal's online and Overpowered's coming up, so there's enough in the arsenal here for NIP.
Nice heal.
But they're going to have to use it properly. Dread Serpent not going to do enough, but they get rid of Alex. They get rid of Digidog, and that's going to make this a 3v5.
This is the first time NIP have been on the back foot out of the gate. 3v5. Bonker's going to go into the Immortal just to buy a little bit more time. Exiles onto 1. Exile onto 2. Bird's dead. The second he gets out of that, Bonker will meet the same fate. Questionable use of ultimates there from NIP, I have to be honest. I don't know how Immortal is going to salvage that fight in any way.
No, I feel like that was much more of a... I almost even want to say panic ult. Like, it didn't come through in a way that's going to help keep this point alive for them. In fact, it might have bought some time, maybe cuts down some of the respawns, but you don't live long enough afterward, especially when you get banished. And all the kills that rolled through, like, you're still on a 3v5. Bird, as great as the damage Genos can put out can be, is not going to be the guy who salvages that fight when it's you plus a Fernanda.
This has been almost the same sort of pace through the set as the game as Frog Isle was between NIP and Spacestation. These two big dogs on the block here, definitely going at each other. SSG not taking a game yet, but Frog Isle was tough. They're making Jaguar Falls tough. The first couple maps of this set have not been easy for either team.
They're doing two things here. One is proving that Cuss was right this week. NIP is a team that can be defeated. You just have to figure it out. And as of right now, though, again, like you said, they don't have a map, SSG is in a good spot to be able to maybe showcase what you have to do to burn them down. Unfortunately for them, they take the full wipe right there. Even if they get to come back, which they have plenty of time for, and push this in, it's another 3-3 point fight, which so far, throughout all of the sets, all the games they've had against NIP, the 5 now that they've had, each time it's gone 3-3, it has been probably the hardest fight, and they've lost it.
Well, take a quick peek at the damage charts here as this next fight brews up. There's time enough for a couple top damage. Who could it be but Rashal's Barrack? He loves this character. He's getting involved, hitting his shots as well, and he's ahead by a decent margin. I mean, this is 15,000, 16,000 damage that this Barrack is up and available, and this boy is getting buffed next patch too. Rashal finds Diggy Dog. Bird takes down FRZ God for the trade. Ares is trying to back out of this. Not a great matchup to go into that EV in the isolation game. So Alex is, of course, going to come out on top. Bird trying to contest the payload as much as possible, but Rashal tracks him down.
And that's where this damage has been coming from. Rashal does not hesitate to take the fight to you if you are not going to come to him. And he's chasing down the Eevee. He's chasing down the Cassie. He's chasing down the Genos. And when it comes down to it, and if he's in the boxing match with the Khan, at least as of right now, he doesn't mind it. He's getting this damage for a reason. So Rashal, honestly, I would put him #1 reason SSG are still in this game overall.
Well, Overpower's available, pretty much everything but Immortal for NIP. Pretty much everything except for Dragon, but both ultimates that aren't available are very close. Overtime started here. Rashal gets exploded on the objective. Somebody else has to make that rotation, contest. Atlas is not the best man for the job, but he's the only man for the job at this juncture in time. Alex takes down Ares. Sadak is next on the list for NIP. 3 fall for nothing, no ultimate spent. The dust settles, NIP defend, no points are awarded. 3-2 is the score going into the next round.
This is where things are awkward. Very standard, like you're gonna capture faster if you're SSG here because you're down 1 point. But you aren't, I want to say, as confident in your point cap this time around. Once you get past the double comeback mechanic when you're down 2 points, then all of a sudden it becomes, well, we still have to win 2 fights. Sometimes you have to win 3, depending on how this one goes, especially if NIP can start in control, but you have to win this initial engagement, which last time they did pretty well. But then you have to win the one right after that, like when everybody respawns, groups up, and comes back in. You'll be around 95, 94, 96, wherever it is, % for SSG. And because of that, you're going to have to be very careful in the recollapse of NIP if you win the first one.
I think we're starting to notice there's the Overpower. I wanted this to hit. You need to get value out of Overpower. It's your strongest ultimate, arguably. Diggy Dog has missed his previous 2. Big setup there on a tenor. Finally goes down. Bird is hiding in the corner. He's going to get staggered out here, almost around the corner. Sadak finds the kill, but it's kills either way. Still filling up the kill feed. Red and blue. Bonker's alive. Nice second chance there. Sadak gets a lot of health back. Fernando doesn't have the damage to contest. Immortal will come through, buying Alex valuable seconds to get these kills. It's a risky play from Bonker, but it pays off, and NIP maintain control. What a decision made by the frontliner, Bonker. Incredible stuff.
And almost the opposite of what we saw. Last round, that Immortal comes down, it's him and Bird. This time around, it's him and Alex, and that is the difference it makes as to who you are saving with that. Give Alex a little more time to dance around and have that ability to get a kill. It opens up a lot of doors. There's going to be 1 banish, 2 banish. Now he's looking for the damage, but it's not going to be enough to kill off this Genos. He's going to be able to almost skirt out of there.
No.
But now the lockdown's coming from the Dragon.
This is awesome setup. The Exile into the Dragon. Everyone is frozen in time as the Dragon slowly creeps up and gets involved in this fight. Bonker goes down on the objective. Half comeback mechanic is enabled for SSG, so you can see every other tick worth 4%. And that might be enough to just close out this point. Nobody from NIP even close as we head to another 3-3. SSG with a chance to take a game.
And that's exactly what they need right here. This is the moment where you can come in and I look at it as charge your ults for this first like minute and a half, and then be ready to drop everything. It's going to be dangerous, but if you can push it and if you can keep NIP locked down, That's what they've been doing.
That's
That's
what
why
they would
NIP
do to
is so
you.
successful.
That's exactly what I was going to
So just
say.
keep them locked down.
That is exactly what they would do to you. Nice stasis field here. Crossfire's trying to poke its head out. Gets a lot of damage safely out onto these front lines. Roshal's able to clean up Diggy Dog. Bonker's kind of in a tough spot as well. He might go down here. Tender makes a risky rotation. It gets him a kill, but he'll lose his life for it. Triple kill from a Freeze Gods and Monty as he makes the big dive into the base. Ultimates are creeping up. SSG with the momentum that they have right now could close the game.
All they need is a couple good shots. 52% here on the Dragon. They don't have many ults, but a Dread Serpent can buy you space and control over an objective like this. But now you're going to be looking at Scout coming up, Overpower coming up. There's going to be the Ice Storm. You're going to have a through time and space you're going to have to deal with. And fortunately for you, all they need is one of those three to make sure they find some kills.
A lot of value there. And if I may offer up my own analysis right here, a big part of why I feel like NIP are struggling is I'm bringing it back to this pit ban. Normally, Tenor's over there with Diggy Dog, allowing him to get super aggressive with Alex on this left-hand side, Jaguar statue side dive. And that's just, it's a very predictable read that NIP have almost gotten into every round except this pass point fight. And it just hasn't paid off. They haven't had the sustain. They haven't had the ability to just blindly aggress like they have in the past. And I think that's a big part of why, you know, Diggy's having a pretty average game on one of his best characters. He was like 7-7 at the start of this round. Middle of the pack damage. Not as much of a talking point as he is in the times past.
And I think a lot of that does come down to not only the pit, but also, I mean, it comes into some of the champion bans that are in the game right now, right? Grover is not allowed in play as of this week, I know of. And NIP, for a couple weeks there, had their drafts built around being able to play one or the other. Having that secondary healer, having that damage available to you, and that healing to help support Diggy Dog's aggressive, you know, well, I guess addiction now at this point.
Frost Bomb comes out, hits the door frame. Freeze God had to cancel Dragon because Alex found a nook, a way to dive him. A little bit of vertical mobility. This is getting aggressive. Freeze God wants Bird. Nice double auto attack there, but the setback from Khan, I don't know if that was the best choice. In the moment, it allows a little bit of time for NIP to come back into this one. Freeze God had Bird wrapped up there. Immortal comes out. He's dead, so he can't detonate that bomb, and NIP might have just defended off that.
And they managed to do it using only the Immortal, which admittedly, out of the 5 ults, I'd say is top 2.
It's pretty important,
the ones
for
they
sure.
have. Like, I mean, Scout, it's cool, but I mean, it's not going to be game-changing unless you're looking at not getting CC'd. Through time and space can be great, but only if it connects. So you're looking at really the Overpower, which has to get value this time. That's, what, 3 times now. Rachao technically did die last round when he grabbed him, but it took a good 30 seconds after he dropped out of the Overpower clutch. You need to burn them down faster.
I don't know if you hearken, how often you can hearken a team fight to one ability, but that setback there coming out on the Bird wasn't effective. Freeze God had that kill lined up. That's Deja Vu too. That's an AoE setback. He could have maybe hit that on the point, set back 2 of the front line, set back 2 people, just somebody else from NIP, just to CC them, not necessarily to set them back, just to lock them down for a second. Time and space, maybe lining up here for Bird as they're creeping up 3-3. Not as much aggression as we saw last round here. Overpower will come out onto Sadak. It will get the kill, and Diggy Dog will live. That's the difference this time. Ice Storm, time and space. The combination, it's in your face, and it finds the kill on a Freeze God Tenor. Risky rotation. That's what we've been saying about him all game long. It pays off, but he loses his life for it. Bonker, sitting on the objective the entire damn time, is able to outbox Rachao.
And this is just how these 3-3-point fights go between these two. I mean, NIP come in, they take control very early on. They had 40% before they wiped SSG. Now they're up at 93% before anyone's able to touch down and keep some control. They're just going to grab it off of pure CC.
Man, NIP, lock it down. A slightly different strategy, a slightly different tune, some ultimates lining up, playing off each other is something that they haven't done quite as well today as they have in times past, but we start to see a little bit of that light shining back through. The Ice Storm time and space combination, it was available all game. We just didn't see it until the last round, but they did what they had to do to shut SSG down. 2 games in a row. They were damn close.
I think we're starting to see the improvements, though, from SSG, especially from last week to this week. That's 2 games now with a 4-3. And I feel like, you know, what Bonker said, where right now Na'Vi are the ones they're most worried about. But you have to look at these other teams that are, especially, you know, 3, 4, 5 overall, as direct threats at this point, right? SSG has shown they can cut you a little bit. They make you bleed, but they haven't taken the map. That's the next step forward for them, and then it's going to be take 2, take 3, push them to game 7. Like, I think that's really just the goal now is get NIP to a best of 7 and see if you can beat them.
It's a pretty good start for NIP, but now we're going into the losers picks phase of the map, so SSG will have their selection. One map that I'm curious about is Serpent Beach. I think both these teams are damn good at Serpent Beach.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, when do we go here? Do we need to place as much weight on this map as we might when we're playing against other teams? You got to recognize who you're playing against changes match to match, and they might be stronger where other teams are weaker. Let's get it back to the desk and hear their thoughts on Jaguar Falls.
Thank you, guys. And again,
Caliente.
they can't keep getting away with it.
Man,
they do it every time.
It feels like they do.
reel us in. It's
like
a 2-0, and then
know.
a 3-3, and then a...
First off, NIP, you're ruining our green room time because we're coming back on this 3-0 thinking, oh, game's over. Let's get back to the desk. And then SSG, maybe it's SSG who's ruining our green room time, actually.
You know what? We have a bone to pick.
We have a bone to pick with both these teams.
Well, actually, that's
then.
a really good question to levy. Did SSG lose that game, or did NIP win that game?
I think SSG lost that game, except for the final round where NIP really did win. They had a great combo. The Ice Storm into the through time and space, took 2 down. Sadak got overpowered, and that was an easy kill, and the zone was just really strong. And it was an aggressive zone. Bird went out in zone, and I thought that was a nice play. You don't typically see the support kind of go out there, but he's really good at dismounting, and he's better than Fernando at doing it. So, of course, that's a really smart decision. I feel like NIP can't be feeling good after these wins.
Right.
With how dominant they've been.
That's fair.
This is balancing on a knife's edge to potentially be 2 wins in the favor of SSG. And NIP here sitting undefeated saying, guys, we are about 15 seconds away from being down 2-0 in both these matchups. How are we feeling good about this? I'll tell you what, though, Alex on a 22-8 Eevee.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious. What a pop-off here.
A 15-9 for Bittner as well. I mean, if you were to show me these stats without the result of the match, I mean, that looks much more lopsided, I think, towards NIP than maybe on the opposite side. FRZ guy, you have to give him credit, too, though. 16-10, I mean, that's an admirable kill and death line as well. But Alex, I think, really took this game over.
Unfortunately, and it sucks to critique something like this, and he's playing more of a setup character as well, but we saw with the Drogos, he's dying too much. And to win against NIP, you have to take less deaths and you have to make your lives count more. That's what Alex is doing, 22-8. I mean, yes, he dies 8 times, which is still 2 less than FRZ got, but he gets twice as many kills. He almost has a 3 KDA just on KD on kills alone. And that's impressive, man. And he had to min-max a couple of situations. He had to go and search down the dragon. One of the biggest things about this point fight, they had no dragon because Alex actually put pressure on FRZ God on the push. They tried to end the game, but Alex was there and FRZ God had to cancel out, and he stayed in the back line and ended up wiping that entire fight. So really, really amazing performance from him.
Yeah, and it's tough on the side of SSG because, I mean, well, honestly, this is exactly how the set yesterday started. So maybe they'll start winning some here down the stretch, and we'll get a full Game 7 series of 4-3s. Maybe. Just maybe. If we're that lucky, maybe we will.
I love watching this series.
I know,
don't you, Dave? It's fun.
I mean, we just kind of talking passively while the game was going on. We talked about the difference between a 4-3 when it's like clearly one team is in the lead and the other team is just finding some defenses here and there. And it's kind of like a, all right, this should have been a 4-0, could have been a 4-0, could have been a 4-1. But, I mean, this truly feels like a 4-3 where
it's so close. Anyone can win.
will cap push, SSG will cap push, defend to get 3. I mean, it really feels like a true 4-3 in the sense that it truly is that close. Serpent Beach, though, that's kind of the map they wanted to talk about. The casters did.
Who cares what they want?
No, that's true.
This is our desk, dang it.
All right, I want to talk about
Serpent.
I would like to talk about
Let's talk about Serpent Beach.
The last time these two teams faced off, Serpent Beach was the only map that went 4-3.
Yeah.
Today we've seen 2 4-3s already. Both teams have shown that Serpent Beach is one of their better maps. Could this be the one that tilts in SSG's favor? That's the ultimate question.
There are very small things happening, and like I said, all these players are phenomenal.
Right.
And it's going to be. I said that Aries needed to go 5-10, and he's been doing exactly that. He's got, he's been getting. Actually, I'm not even sure. Yeah, he's been dying. No, that's 50% of the time. He's been dying twice as much, essentially. He did 5 and 10 version of that, 50% in the first game. The second game, he died twice as much as he got killed, 7 and 15 slash line.
Yeah.
Now, I know he was tweeting yesterday about some people throwing some hate out. They obviously lost that game. That was a tough one. This is not hate. This is just talking about, you know, as a player I really enjoy watching. I think he's been great for this team. If he's going to do this, FRZ God has to pick up that slack somewhere.
Sure.
Tenor is, 16 and 10. Alex is 22 and 8. You can't have that be the DPS on one team and then 7 and 15 and 16 and 10 on the other side. It just doesn't. That's just simple math. It's not going to work out. So the Atlas pick looked really good on Sadak. With the Amani ban, I actually think this might open things up for SSG. I feel like the Amani is not quite what it is on NIP for them, and although they're taking it away, I think Cassie is a great fit for Ares. I think FRZ got on an Eevee, get him on a Drogoz here, get him on a BK. That hasn't shown up today at all, and really put them both on comfort picks.
Here's a fun little stat through the first 3 games now, if we consider this our third draft. NIP have picked Congenos' first 2 picks off the board now in all 3 games. I guess it's sort of a if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The last 2 games. Well, actually, wait, is it the third game? Yeah, the last 2
games.
Oh, no,
excuse me. SSG had Congenos.
Yes.
Right. So I should broaden my horizons.
Congenos
have been the first 2 picks off the board for one of the 2 teams all 3 games up to this point. Not necessarily surprising to have
Genos is
2 of the stronger champions, right?
Yeah, he's the one. It's definitely the one NIP want, and Bird said it in his interview, whether you were listening carefully or not. He said, well, they banned Genos, so guess who pick Eevee?
Right.
Or Ying, sorry. So, I mean, they might have picked Eevee too, but he was really saying that, Genos is our priority in that. And if you take it away and extrapolate from what he's saying, where, other healers aren't their priority.
The next time
they can
you
get
see
every
my
game,
banners,
they will.
run.
Cassie for Ares. FRZ got on Eevee. This is good. However, it's scary to see that Leon come through now. Real good counter, real good players who know what to do. Those enlightenments. It's going to be a mind game between FRZ God and Tenor or Alex. The first time Inara will be in this set as well.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see sort of the dynamic around Leon in that she's not necessarily been banned out, and that's why she hasn't been played. She just hasn't really been picked as much. The Maeve coming through again. But now the question raises, does that go to Alex? Does that go to Bittner? We saw Bittner on the Maeve already, so maybe that's the direction they go with this, but then the Leon as well. What are you thinking here?
I think this will be Tenor on the Maeve, unless I'm just even more impressed with Alex being able to add that into his champion pool as well. But I think because Tenor already had a good game on it and Alex hit scan, that's kind of his thing, he'll have the Leon in this one. A couple things I'm looking at, though. Yeah. Talent decision for the Maeve. Is she going to go Street Justice this time? Cat Burglar worked nicely, but because of the Inara and the inability for her to dodge anything like that, Street Justice is great against her. Atlas, though, has that big juke in the rewind, essentially, the second chance. So it's a bit of a risk there. Cat Burglar may be more consistent. SSG have to pop off here, Dave.
They need to. Could be do or die here for SSG. NIP up 2-0 in set number 1 of the day. Send it down to your casters to get it started.
Well, we knew both these guys would hit hard on Serpent Beach, but I'm very curious to see which one is going to be left standing after it. This is such a good map for both of these guys. I think NIP have not gotten pushed out of their comfort zone, but they're not doing anything that's too wacky for them in it. Wow, it will be. I gotta say, I agreed with Evan in the onset, but it will be Alex on the Maeve, and Tenor will be picking up Leon.
That's going to be an interesting flex around for them, but
Weird
I actually
flex,
expect
but okay.
it to work out, honestly. It's one of those things that, just like what I see out of FRZ God on the other side, actually, their Leon's probably going to hit just as hard, if not harder sometimes, than what you'll see out of their mainstay hit scan. So being able to kind of play around with that. Bittner already being able to lay down the law, and Ares being able to pick up on what he's laying down.
And he opens up the objective. If that dagger connected, it would have killed Eevee. Freeze God gives him the slip and manages to get the kill as well. Commander's grab is good, but the second chance is better. Digidog just switches targets to somebody a little bit more squishy. Now Bird capturing away, but this fight is starting to go back SSG's way. Freeze God gets chased off. Rashao's returning to the objective, but without a healer, how long will he last? Tenor's shooting him in the back of the head. Digidog shooting him in the back of the head. Rashao with no sustain, cannot survive.
And one of the things that, again, NIP have done, and I highlighted this last game and the game before, but this Genos pick is doing more than just the Luminary boost. It's doing more than just being the support, right? He's standing on the objective, but because the angle he's playing, I mean, everyone on SSG is getting pushed out from the left side, kind of from statue side overall, into the road, into the payload path. And because of that, Bird's just sitting there like, cool, I'm just going to shoot him for like 1,000 damage at a time. And once you get hit by that, what seems like it should be negligible but ends up impacting your life damage, you just don't have anywhere to go back from.
And Genos it's just such the good aggro healer, to be honest with you, I feel. NIP, the way they play, it's so up in their opponent's faces. So what character is better than to sit at a long range, heal people that are not going to be in line of sight of him while he does his own thing, which is equally, if not more valuable, which is just capture the point and make sure that you can stay involved and continue to influence the fight from behind walls and from great distances. Genos, I think, is pretty critical to the success of NIP.
And I'd actually love to be able to look at what he has in his loadout, because one of the things that we've kind of heard from them is, in fact, this, Light Years 5. That is not something that a lot of people run. Normally it's run maybe 4, maybe 3, but just the range is 50% longer. Like, I can now hit you, admittedly, about halfway across the map. Like, you don't have to worry about it too much. And because of that, Bird is able to have a little more of an impact from the objective, or even from further behind if he needs to play safe.
The boys are on point, or he's on point, and the boys are out in front zoning, or maybe trying to track down a kill. They can still get that healing. It's all about the way that NIP play. They want to stay in your face. Midnight shuts down the vision from everyone on SSG for the next 4 seconds. Resilience does mitigate that, a little lesser known fact, I think, for some. We saw a lot of Resilience come out on Frog Isle when that was picked, or when Maeve was picked up originally. Early kill from Alex. But he's content to just sit on this point and continue to push away.
I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect. Not quite hitting as many daggers as we saw out of Bittner earlier on, but I will say, very comfortable on this Maeve as of right now. The movement, I think, is the thing that's kind of getting me for Alex, is he's all over the place when he needs to be. And I think that's kind of the EV coming out through the Maeve.
This is good shots from Bonker, good pressure onto everyone tucked up in that little staircase. Dome Shield comes out just to peel for 10. Seismic Crash stuns out Bonker, but he's more than happy to take that on the chin. Very, very low is Diggy Dog right now. He battle shouts himself. He's going to get an Astral Mark. It's a longer cooldown at the onset of the game. Alex dies on the high ground, so there's no high ground control whatsoever for NIP, and it looks like they're going to have to hold the L here on Serpent Beach.
And this is, again, the map last week. SSG was able to go 4-3 on. And it's the only map last week they were able to go 4-3 on. Now, they're batting 2 for 2. But I can't imagine how, I want to use the word demoralizing it would be. I mean, at this point, you've gone 2 maps, you've taken them to 3-3, and you've lost both of them. Now, if you go to this map, you go 3-3 and you lose again. Like, it starts to wear on you.
Yeah. It's tough for sure. Going down 3-0 in these best of 7s is not easy. SSG haven't had to deal with that too often. They're a team that's been pretty used to their winning ways. 7-0 for FRC Gods. Eevee through the first round. Absolutely rock solid stuff. Going into the Haven, mitigates his... basically everyone there. Maeve, Leon, Genos, Khan, Barrack, they're all Haven mitigated. So an easy choice for Freeze God that's going to get him a little bit more staying power in these fights.
I like the way he approaches the fight this time around, jumping around, but it's just so awkward when your flank met with another flank because it does come down. Oh, the nice Dread Servant going to push Diggy Dog off the high ground to kind of lock him down. He has no vertical mobility to just jump back up there. So now he's kind of locked down here with the rest of SSG.
Bonker's kind of getting collapsed on here. 2 people from the front. Eevee's attacking from the flank, and it's nowhere to go but down, unfortunately. Too much damage. Sadak chasing down Tenor on the high ground. Second chances. Back to safety. Diggy Dog does manage to find Ares, but he's relatively alone. Alex is over here as well, looking for some poke damage shots. No comeback mechanic enabled. This is just a good old 1-for-1 point fight, as SSG are in control of the map and the objective.
I mean, this is going to be a nice wall. Sadak being able to do a beautiful, beautiful rewind to keep himself in this. And now, while he's in an awkward spot, he distracts them and keeps NIP looking over towards the left, towards the waterfall instead of the point. Now it's 99-21.
Time and space is ready to go. Bird just dives in there in time for the touch. Another thing that Genos brings is that mobility. Seismic Crash onto no one. I guess Rochelle thought they had to touch, but Bird had already grabbed it. And that one's going to be off the mark. 99%, still a mountain to climb for NIP.
And that's just the dance they need. 60%, like you said, a mountain to climb. It's going to be awkward, but they're starting to get ults back at this point. Dome Shield, 91%, should be up soon. So if you need anyone to dive in and try and take control, keep your eyes on that barrier.
Close there on the time and space. Soaring around in the back line is FRZ God's Eevee, and he will get the better of Alex's Maeve yet again. Comfort pick here versus something a little bit new. 3 for 1. Tenor finding 2. Overpower rips Ares off the high ground, dunks him into the wall just for good measure. And NIP managed to claw their way back. That mountain has been climbed. They stand at its summit and roar as they go on the offense once more.
You know, I'm going to throw it out. I think the argument is still that they've used the most street style skins.
Ash for sure, Maeve twice now.
And Ying yesterday as well.
Oh, and
so
Ying, you're right.
They've been able to dip their toes in.
Who's the fourth one that got one of those? Was it 4 or am I tripping? Oh, it was Sky, you're right.
I was like, it's not Leon, it's the other one.
The classic.
Well, I don't know why Leon and Sky in my mind are like the two that would fit into that. But
They're the base squad.
it was, I don't know if we're going to see Sky. But if anyone's going to pull it out, it's going to be NIP.
Well, a lot of kills coming through here, and this is looking like a fight that is easily wrapped up by SSG. Everyone tails between their legs as we look for the reset, but it's not the worst thing to take a death after capturing a payload.
No, it's definitely been, I want to say maybe even better in NIP. Like dying almost immediately after getting the payload, like for the first minute, start at 230, you make it to 130 here. You get to spend the credits you just got if you had any left over from the beginning of the round, plus from capturing the objective and the kills that you've been able to maintain and objective capture, anything of that gives you a little more. So being able to come in potentially with one more item, try and buy back this room that you might have lost is good, but unfortunately for NIP, they can't get their grip down.
Ares finds 2 kills in that engagement. Sadak gets 1, and the defense continues to hold. I think that's Alex back there. Can hear the prowl sound effects as he dives deeper and deeper into the enemy backline. Nobody's dead yet. Freeze God's searching for him. This is valuable territory because Freeze God's distracted. Everyone knows he's back here somewhere, hunting for him and allowing NIP to work their way back towards the objective without contest from Freeze God, with everybody else half distracted. The idea that there's a Maeve creeping around behind them. First daggers go to Alex. Little honor 1v1 maybe. Nope. Alex is going to rotate down, steal 2 double kills, back to the high ground. Perfect Maeve play.
And doing exactly what he needs. A nice pounce back up, trying to dance around what is the 2 probably most mobile champions in Paladins between Maeve and Eevee. And as of now, Eevee's been taking the trade every single time, right? They're still going to be killing off Alex, but not before he has such a huge impact in that fight.
Freeze God does manage to get what he came for eventually, but at what cost? 2 of his other teammates as well. Into overtime we go. Tenor's in a spot under some pressure here from Menard. Time and space is ready. Rashao wants this kill. He's going to try to walk it down. Bird trying to body block, but Freeze God weaves one in. I'm not even sure where he shot that from, but it found Tenor. Found Bird as well. Diggy Dog takes down Ares. No sustain at this point for Barrick and for Khan on the objective. Bonker will be the first to fall. Second chance, basically did nothing there. Diggy Dog walled away, and SSG will hold the defense yet again.
It's getting closer, though, every step of the way. And I think that's the thing is, like, SSG, it's that awkward moment of, it almost feels like they're still in this successfully, but they're not winning the same way they were winning fights in Map 1. They're not winning the same way they were winning fights at the beginning of Map 2. Now it's been point, defense, point, defense. They are not anywhere near the economy that NIP has. And admittedly, when it comes down to point control, they just don't seem to quite have the same grasp that NIP has on how the objective fight needs to be going for Serpent Beach.
90,000 damage for Tenor's Leon, almost 30,000 out in front. Freeze God still leading the pack here, 11-4 on the Eevee, 6-5 for Alex's Maeve. He's definitely been bested in a lot of these engagements.
Lower damage than Machado, too.
Alex was?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's all, it was like 2,000. It was like 49 to 51K, but it makes a difference.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't notice that. He but just barely above the supports, but I don't know. It's tough to say because when you looked at Tenor's Maeve on Frog Isle, he was top damage over pretty much everyone there. Maeve is not just about the assassinations, especially with this cat burglar style. It allows you to poke at range very, very effective.
I'm wondering if this was mean, honestly, maybe if they swap those two, does it go cleaner? That's the big question for me. Unfortunately,
yeah,
we
it's
won't
kind of a weird
ever get
switch.
to live in that world. And it doesn't seem to be hurting Bittner at all. It really is just where Alex's performance has been. And that's one of the things that has been discussed coming into this. Is this you can't have Alex having a 22-8 game every time. And this seems like the best scenario for SSG to be able to win.
Well, they're already in the lead, and then they win the fight. That was a great fear for Midtown. I think a big part of why they were so successful there. Second setback on to Tenor, maybe not paying off here as he weasels his way out of the objective capture after getting the point touch. Diggy Dog goes down. Bonker does not have Dome Shield, not even close. No real way to contest this any longer. Alex finds one kill on Rochelle. Is this the comeback? No! SSG sneak it away. Everyone of NIP diving onto the objective there. Can't quite get the touch, and the payload. Overtime will expire and go the way of blue.
And very much like the start of every point that NIP has won, SSG grabbed the point, and this time NIP get all the kills. So putting them back, making sure they lock them down. The zone is going to be very important. But I don't know how much you're going to see NIP fight up in this area. Like maybe where Diggy Dog is, where he has some high ground advantage, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it bounce from this balcony to the one on their side to then just the high ground over the bush that you normally see. Actually, pretty much the mirror of where Alex is standing, except that he's on SSG's side, so you need to go, what, a whole map over.
Well, a little 1v1 engagement breaking out there. Freeze God and Alex continuing to poke away at each other. Setback. You got to be careful with that ability. I mean, a lot of times it has helped Tenor in a couple situations. It helped Bird on Jaguar Falls. It's not always the right thing to do. And that's why Atlas can struggle in the casual scene without communication and things like that. Because you can end up helping your enemies and maybe hurting your teammates in a couple of ways. 117 left on the clock. A lot of time burned off this offense. Look at that bonus damage ripping through Eevee's HP pool very, very quickly. Havens are starting to come online though from FRZ. I noticed the bonus damage daggers barely doing as much as the base damage of a normal dagger from Mavis. He was hitting just above 400 damage there. Freeze God's already gone into Haven 2. Level 3 items are very expensive, so unless you really, really want it, you want to grab a lot of level 2s and things like that. Cauterize super effective at level 3 though, so the offensive items usually finished up.
It's usually where that jump is from 2 to 3, right? Like Cauterize, it's 60 versus 90. That 90 is worth it. Whereas, I mean, I'm actually surprised to see this, and maybe a little not surprised at the same time, where Bird has gone into Chronos 3, which is going to be 30% instead of 20% cooldown. But on any other support, it's like, do we need this that badly?
Not
For
really.
Genos, you kind of do. That's
Genos
the difference between like 3 and 4 marks at a time.
I mean, what is it? Probably, I don't even know if you want to throw Grover into the same category as a lot of these. These main healers, Grover is there, but I mean, he's one of the, I'll just say, one of the longest cooldowns of a support heal in the game. Characters like Ying and Saris, you don't even need to buy Chronos because you can get to the soft cap of 50% with loadout cards. Genos is a far cry from that category. Overtime starts here with a kill onto Diggy Dog. Sadak with his rewind will keep himself alive for the time being. It's a long way to go in overtime. These HP bars starting to get lower and lower here. Alex finding the kill onto the main tank. That's a good recipe to end this overtime quickly as the defense holds. And we head to yet another 3-3-point fight.
And this entire thing, again, is coming down to whether or not SSG, and if they've learned their lesson, I guess is the best way to word it. Every time they have gone 3-3 now. And this is now 3 times in this matchup. They have lost the point fight. 1 time last week, 2 times this week. So it is not a spot that they have gotten very comfortable with, right? They are not as, I guess, well rehearsed in the 3-3. And it comes down to something that, you know, I mean, you were saying, when you look at the objective and also look at Bittner's damage, you start to see that, you know, sometimes it stresses people out when someone gets to 99 or if they take the lead. And 3-3 is when the nerves rise high.
Shots connecting here for Barrick. Rashao under some early pressure. Midtown not in line of sight right now. Look at the map. It is so spread out. There are so many people everywhere. This is going to be chaotic. Sadak rewinds into trouble. He'll be first blooded on this round, but there's more chaos down on the objective. Look at Alex. He's sitting here on that perch waiting for Eevee to rotate in, but he's playing so safe. He needs to get involved.
I actually don't mind it only because ordinarily now he wouldn't be in the fight, although technically, if you want to look at it, he's not in the fight. They get rid of Freeze God, and that means Ares should be coming back in, or Alex, I mean, should be coming back in here on this Mave, and that's going to be a collapse. It's going to be the kills. It's going to be the point control for NIP. They do need to win another fight. This is pretty much how
with just
last
time
round
and
went.
space.
And now they just need to maintain control.
Bird rotates off the objective as Bonker rotates in. The handoff is complete. Positioning is set for NIP. Another 3-3-point fight. Fear comes out early on a Diggy Dog. He'll be okay. Time and space forces Ares away, but it will miss when it's all said and done. 84 and climbing Gore north of 90. Rashao has to step on. He does. Alex is in the back line looking for the contest. Sadak could be the first blood of this fight if he's not careful, but he rewinds to safety. Rashao lower and lower. The turrets get the kill on the objective. Rotations need to be made. Exile is popped, but Sadak is taken down. Bonker has been a rock for NIP on the objective. The Eevee comes to stall it out. In and out of the ice block she comes. In and out of the wormhole she goes. She's dead. Back to spawn. Rashao's ripping in. Gormizer, I don't know if this one's salvageable.
I mean, he's coming in, he's standing alone though, and that's the big thing. This Maldama's gone, and now Inara has no support, burned down and taken out, and that just seems to be the way SSG go.
NIP 3-3. Ain't no thing to them. It might be a little bit more stressful than they're used to, but they continue to get it done here. 3 games in a row. SSG have put up a good fight. Haven't taken a map yet, but this is the most pressed NIP have ever looked, and especially on one of their best maps.
And I mean, 3 times in a row, 3 3-point fights going to a 4-3 for NIP, bringing them to a 3-0 lead. Like, I was just saying it, but at this point, it feels demoralizing, right? You go into this and you're like, okay, well, cool. We're going to pick a map, and then we're going to go 3-3, and everyone's going to have hope on the team, and then it's going to get dashed at the very end by NIP. And so I'm looking at the draft. I'm looking at just like these small little things you need to change where it's just like, well, you did really well on Jag Falls when you ban out the Pip. Like, look at those things in the map you're going to and just try to control the best you can.
Well, that's going to do it for game number 3. Continuing to go NIP's way. Let's throw it back to the desk and potentially see the last game.
I feel like you got to feel for SSG at this point because
Unreal.
another 4-3 and another 4-3 goes in favor of NIP at this point. I mean, I don't know. SSG, they're right there. They're so close. It's
crazy.
This is one of those where it's like it comes down.
It's crazy, Dave.
It comes down to those little moments. It's not like this team just overwhelmingly took over this game with A player, B player, or whatever it is. It's just this went wrong in this one moment, and they were able to win the final team fight. It seems like NIP are so firmly in control of those last team fights. That's just what's paying off for them.
I mean, I've experienced this a lot in a lot of like different moments in my life. One of the more relatable moments is like in fighting games when you have a friend who's just a little bit better than you, and he always like it's so close. You know, you're down to one hit, but he always gets the last hit. He always has the last combo. He always finds a way to get that projectile and take you down. And I just feel like that's what's up with Spacestation and IP. You see another one, Ares going 13-13. I'm not sure he's gone positive at all today. FRZ got again with the 14-10, but so many deaths. And you see again, Tenor 20-8, Alex 14-9. I mean, there's nothing really more to look at except that.
Right.
If those numbers flip, SSG win. If those numbers don't, NIP keep winning. A lot of great things in between, but I think those are the 2 things.
I mean, there's definitely layers to kind of peel back there. There's the frontline play and the healer play that allows them to stay up and find their eliminations. But at the end of the day, the damage dealers are the beneficiary of good play from elsewhere. I mean, it's everyone has to be doing their job, I think, is a good way of wording. I mean, there's some players that are so good that they can kind of shine regardless. But, I mean, would Tenor go 20-9 if the rest of his team was getting shot around him? I mean, that's up for debate.
He does get very special treatment. They know how good he is, so he's getting a few more heals and sometimes Bonker and stuff like that. So there's definitely
you know where to put the focus.
Yeah, there's definitely an impetus towards this, but where this matchup is tilting heavily out of favor is in the damage carries. And unfortunately, Sadak and Mitau and Rachao are performing at a pretty high level here. Bonker and Diggy actually having more of a part of this because Diggy's not having that take over type of day that he's had every single game thus far. So I don't know. This is tough for SSG because this is a moment where you know the saying, you strike while the iron's hot. The iron is very hot right now.
Yeah.
These could be 3 wins in the book for SSG.
Yeah.
But little mistakes mean NIP are still up 3-0 and on set point. So will things change? It feels like it's going to be tough for that to be the case.
I mean,
You going to count SSG out?
Are you going to win 4 straight against NIP? No. I mean,
Right,
I'll just say
right.
no.
Oh, so you don't like SSG?
Or sorry, are you going to win 4 straight?
Just kidding. I'm messing with you.
Can they win a map here and there? Do I think that they have the ability to win the
4
next
in a
map,
row?
maybe the next
Probably
map after
not.
that?
Yeah,
Sure,
almost
but 4-0.
Almost
Nobody's done it.
impossible,
Nobody's
yeah.
done it this season yet. What I will say is they haven't. Remember, these teams faced off 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it was a 4-0 then, but not nearly as close as this 4-0 is. I mean, the takeaway here is that the gap is still wide. It's still a 4-0 for NIP, but the gap has, I think, lessened a little bit. It's gotten a little smaller.
It's like a cup of noodle versus, some Japanese ramen. Same dish, definitely a little bit different flavor there, and
That's entirely fair.
A little bit different quality as well. Very quality set, and I don't think anyone watching this has been disappointed in the fireworks thus far. Diggy and NIP, essentially, I think they want to get this over with and look at why it went this way, and especially because they know that this has not been a cakewalk.
Yeah, it hasn't. I mean, you said it pretty well. I mean, this has been such an entertaining set. It just happens that the 4-3s keep going in favor of NIP.
Yeah.
I mean, with that being said, NIP, they're 1 away from making it another 4-0 against SSG. That'd be a tough week for SSG. You lose a 7, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you lose a 4-0.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of have to look inward and really come together as a team. Not only 2 tough losses, but one that's so close, and then one that, while it is close, you still don't take a single map. So that's tough to look at. Ash Genos, though, NIP will be happy with those 2. Not pairing the Con with the Genos for the first time in this set, but Diggy Dog on the Ash, that's just as good.
I am worried, though, about NIP SSG here, and I think the one thing to take away is how often and how easily you have given them Genos. You haven't banned it. You haven't gone deeper into these pools for the healers. You've just given them the one thing that they really want. It's very nice, flexible kind of draft for them in that Genos every single game except game 1. And I have to question that particularly because you're not getting any significantly better draft in general, and they are getting the healer they prefer at this moment, especially on these kind of wriggly maps like Serpent Beach and Jack Falls, and of course
they just can't stay away from me.
I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, Genos has been in all 4 games up to this point. 3 of them, or I should say he's been drafted 4 times. This will be the 4th game that he's been in. And 3 of those 4 going over to the side of NIP. They're going to go the Fernando route on this one. So seemingly, Inara not coming out to play here. How do you feel about the Fernando over someone like an Inara?
I think it's good. I think the flexibility, he's got good pressure. Not as much burst as he had before, but, a fireball here and there definitely does help shift the tide. And the Immortal, I think that's what we've seen Bonker use to really shift the tide. Triple Take almost taking one out of NIP's book, trying to use it against them, but NIP have another damage champion to flex into this, and that's what scares me about it, because they can really tactfully kind of design their strategy on how to deal with it.
I mean, SSG have showed their hand, and
Very
NIP
much so.
have shown 4 out of 5 cards, but that 5th card is always important here, depending on how they want to deal with this triple front line. We kind of talked about it. I mean, Khan, Ruckus, honestly, and even Barrack, they're kind of that hybrid aggression front line where you still do a lot of damage, but you're also pretty tanky at the same time compared to a lot of the other damage dealers. Vivian, it is. So the Ruckus comes out, and the Vivian as well.
The Lady Ruckus,
The lady, that's fair.
She's kind of like
a
female version of Ruckus, and she brings her own shield. She brings her own incredible damage and consistent DPS, and she brings her own burst when she has her. Man, what are those?
Sentinels?
Sentinels up.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
That's the one. Well, it's 3-0 here. NIP against all odds. Well, not really against all odds. They're about to go up 4-0 if SSG are not able to answer back here. Let's send it down to the casters to get Game 4 started.
Thank you, boys. And I got to say, when we were watching the games, or the SSG games yesterday, When they picked Ruckus here on Bright Marsh, they were talking about Vivian. They were saying, man, wouldn't it be nice to have a Ruckus run into us? We could just play a little Vivian or something like that. So this is premeditated, man. They're ready for this Ruckus, and they're not afraid to pick a Vivian into it.
And that's the thing. So Vivian used to, and used to is the key phrase here, have a talent called Sapper Rounds, which made shields mean nothing. And now she just does that, but she doesn't have the talent anymore. She goes Opportunity and Chaos, usually, which is going to give you bonus damage. But yeah, you buy the Wrecker. Admittedly, if this goes 3-3 like everything else is, though, that means that by the time you hit 3-3, Ruckus is not going to have a good time.
Yeah, Ruckus struggles to get around that Vivian shield as well. She does more damage with less health. Ruckus has more health, but does a little bit less damage.
The trade-offs you'd like.
It's very simple.
From Ruckus and Ruckus Jr.
But it's triple tank here on Bright Marsh for the gentlemen of Spacestation Gaming. Something that we've seen a little bit on this during the season, on this map in particular. SSG are the guys that have to execute it though now. Diggy Dog getting aggressive on Ares. Ares ceding the ground to the Ashe as the Iron March continues with Vivian behind him. There's not a lot that would contest Diggy Dog's Ashe.
I mean, being able to come around, I'm actually surprised to see the Fernando come through for NIP as often as it has. I feel like Anara has been very big for NIP, and that's going to be 2 big kills immediately from Freeze God. Bonker looking to try and find at least 1 in return here. Alex on the other side, but it is not going well overall for NIP.
It's all about Freeze God's Eevee. He gets 2 just raw assassinations with Space Station on the objective as well, so an 80% lead. Mid tower rotates in, so his tank can rotate out. They pick up Bonker very, very staggered. 8 seconds before he would even be alive, but the payload has already gone the way of SSG. A great start to Bright Marsh. The first time this set that they're actually starting on the right foot.
And this is one of those moments where it very much feels like if SSG, and this is partially them and partially their composition, if you close this out, if you can just convert this to a 2-0, you can push this so you are up, then you find the next point, you can win the game. But like, momentum is everything behind a triple front line. Everything that happens has to continue happening. The minute you start to lose footing, you start to lose just in general.
Oh, good heals coming out, but Alex just gets up on the fence and goes in. A triple kill for the Vivian. Incredible turnaround play there. He loses his life for it, but you gotta say that's a worthwhile trade. Shutting it all down as SSG were off to a very, very blistering start here on Bright Marsh.
It's going to be a good knockback overall. I like the way, again, NIP take this, they look where the payload is, they push the line of scrimmage back to the mid-fight. They push it right back into the same building that they admittedly lost the fight pretty handily on overall for the objective. But now you're in a comfortable spot. You can get aggressive. If you lose your life, you have plenty of time to respawn, come back, and get yourself a kill.
This skin has very good iron sight and a very good shield to be able to shoot through. And you know, you got V1K Tor's gun, you got this skin for Vivian as well. I'm not saying they're pay to win, but I'm saying that is a clean-looking iron sight, and that's a weapon you definitely could get behind. The Sentinels come out. Alex's damage has been turned up to 11. Overpower misses as well. I think Ares wanted Alex there, but he's not going to get him. Opportunity and Chaos. Every time you see those orange kapow comic book numbers, as I like to call them, that's how you know he's fully spun up, and he is ripping through these health bars. Huge damage numbers coming out so far. But let's go to the damage charts. Has he taken down the mantle of top damage over Tenor Zamani? And it looks like just barely.
And this is actually that moment where the one thing going for him, the reason Opportunity and Chaos can come through is partially some loadout cards that can refund ammo, which we aren't sure quite yet whether or not he's running one. Fortunately, he goes down right there. So you can keep your secrets for now, Alex. But otherwise, it's a 70-round clip. Like, you have plenty of time to be able to fire and get that Opportunity and Chaos ticket.
Freeze God wants the payload, but he also wants Bird. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Linking back, now looking to finish the job. He will, as overtime has been started successfully. Diggy Dog, he will take his exit stage left, being chased down by 2 members. Very disjointed push right now. Freeze God and Rashao are on the objective. The rest of these boys are in the back line trying to clean up Diggy Dog. They do so. Movement speed, lifesteal as well.
But there's the unchecked ambition. So movement speed, that's usually usual. Lifesteal is very odd overall, but it feels like an NIP thing. But unchecked ambition, whenever you hit a shot, it's 24% chance not to consume ammo. So every now and then you'll see him shooting where that clip size just won't go down, and that is just going to be able to let him just take advantage of opportunity and chaos.
Last couple of shots not quite there. Freeze God takes down Bonker. Ice storms Alex out of this fight. Time and Space is ready to go. Bird just has to jump down, juke for as long as he possibly can on the objective. To be fair, he bought a decent amount of time. Tenor dives on the objective dutifully. Immortals up. Shield is ready to go. Bonker's going to do this for as long as he can. Commander's grab, throws the shield down. It's triple tank, baby. Space Station Gaming with a 2-0 lead in the early game.
I don't think Imani needed to jump down the way she did. I think you jump down, you get a kill, but I think you could have done more from the balcony. It was just the fact that, again, and this is something that NIP has said, that overtime timer makes things a little more hectic for players. Your brain starts to scramble. You don't think through quite as much of what you're going to do, and you want to jump for it. And that's the thing I think that was going. SSG were in control. You see your teammates dying. Someone has to touch, and whether or not the comms are clear, you don't know who exactly has it. And now, for the first time this set, and I think the first time in this matchup, SSG find themselves up 2-0.
The turning point for me there was when Alex almost killed Midtown in the backline, like way down range. And Vivian is a mid-range character. She does not do super great from long range, so it is what it is. But I think that could have been a great turning moment as well. The Dragon comes out. Bird's here to provide defense, boxing people out. Freeze God is looking for him. Not finding him so far. Sadak is getting he's going to Hexafire this Dragon. He wants to take it down, and he will. It's going to cost him his ultimate. But boy, oh boy, he stayed alive.
I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it for him. He's going to be able to stay alive through all that. They get rid of Diggy, but they lose 3. They lose 4 on the side of SSG. Let's go ahead and clean that up. Make it a nice 5-man team wipe here. As even though you lose Diggy, I feel like he was the distraction. I think a Hexafire to the Dragon, that just said something. I feel, and they bought Bulldozer. That was just kind of neglecting shooting.
Oh, look at this. Alex pushes everyone backward into the time and space, and now Sadak has opened himself up to some opportunities in the chaos, and that is just the perfect talent name for what happens when you play NIP. It is chaos right now. They get up in your face, they make you make mistakes, and they make this team fight messy, and Alex is happy to just free fire, free cast, whatever you want to call it, in the middle of it all. Freeze God deep in the back line, similar to how Alex was playing on Serpent Beach. Looking for those support assassinations, and he'll get the job done.
This is that moment where I'm actually going to put, while it's not quite as close, they haven't taken a map yet, since we have yet to be seen how this one will go. I'm going to go ahead and throw SSG as the maybe second biggest threat overall to NIP. I think this is going to open their eyes that, again, what Cuss said earlier this week in Esports Weekly is true. NIP are a defeatable team, and people are getting closer and closer to doing it.
Oh, big flank here, and this is the catalyst that started it all. Freeze God takes a risk, dives extremely deep into NIP's backline, finds the assassination onto Bird, not once but twice now, and he forces everyone to make this rotation back, opens up the entire map for SSG to reclaim territory. And just like that, 75% of the map is theirs.
Now it's going to be up to, well, I guess now Alex and the Sentinels to try and help push back to get to the payload first, then try to get the push going. Of course, Freeze God is on probably one of his signature champions. This has just been making this so difficult for them to do. Between Eevee and Sadak on Ruckus, I just don't know if you have enough to take them down in this kind of moment and reclaim like what you have lost.
Dog shoulder bash, Commander's grab's gonna strip him out of it. Up in the air, Midtow slaps him to the wall with the Serpent Spit. Triple kill from the left click man himself. Midtow tracks everyone down, gets involved, stays involved, and makes an impact.
And being able to immediately fall back, recognize that, you know what, I got a triple, but we did end up losing enough in that fight that we need to fall back. But healing on the way out. Like, he's just like, all right, I'm going to go stand on the point. Here's going to be where the gourd is. Like, setting up for success even after something going, well, majorly successful for a support. Not often you get to see the triple kills, and that's the thing SSG have going for them right now. Everyone is feeling themselves on this Bright March pick, and so far it's going their way.
It is going all SSG. NIP need to be careful they don't get frustrated at this point. They made no progress this round, and this defense is good for a point too. NIP are going to be down 3-1 with the failure of that offense.
Now you're in the most uncomfortable position, I think, in Paladins. Outside of a 3-0 and the payload's right about to push in, right? This is probably the one that's awkward because you can win pretty easily having the double comeback mechanic, having 2 points down, you're going to capture this point twice as fast, pretty much, than SSG. Maybe not fully twice as fast, but it feels like it when you are standing there. And then when it comes down to it, you have the ults to do it. The only thing not available right now are Sentinels, which admittedly are just, like you said, turning Vivian's damage up from essentially where 8 on the scale to 11, where she's going to just decimate anyone who stands in her way. I'm looking at these Wreckers. I'm looking at these Cauterizes on the side of SSG. They don't care about the Dragon right now. They are looking to just burn down and kill front lines, DPS, whoever happens to stand in front of them.
This is the toughest game that they've had. Beautiful fear. They'll slow down Diggy Dog, but then they overpower him right back into it. What is going on with this? What's the plan with this overpower? The Immortal is there as well to keep him alive. Double stun in the backside. Diggy Dog might be able to clean up the support here. Alex is rotating around, still very healthy, but Freeze God and Sadak have already taken down one. Tenor and Alex throw the name of NIP back into the kill feed. Freeze God will equalize it, though, 2 for 2. Ares, one of the most questionable overpowers I think I've seen this season. I'm not sure what the plan was there. There's nobody around a DPS Diggy Dog. There's no kill volumes. There's no edge of the map. There's nothing there's nowhere to deposit that poor man.
And not only that, but I mean, pretty positive at that point you should be playing with the assumption that he's going to have his ult. Like, even if I grab him, if I don't kill him afterward, he's just going to ult and slam on our face.
He tried to shoulder bash across the way. Mitau fears it to stop, and then you immediately just pull him back with overpower? I'm just not sure what the thought process was there. 3-1, 85% lead to 78. Not a big lead at all for NIP. Bonker fighting bravely under the dome shield. You can see the formidable healing start to kick back in, but as he hits 50, 60% HP, that kicks back off. 2 more kills for NIP, reading the blink back beautifully. Bonker locks it all down. His Fernando, I think Bonker's been one of the more, incredible pieces today.
Yeah.
Bird and Bonker specifically have done a phenomenal job every single map at keeping NIP in the game when things look grim.
I think Bonker is also the one, like, out of any time I spent with NIP, he's the one who gets kind of memed the hardest by everybody else, but he has been such an essential role today, specifically, being able to play things that, admittedly, I don't think I've seen him play that often on. Like, Fernando doesn't normally come up over the Inara. He played the Ashe in Game 1 when Diggy flexed on the Nakoa. Like, he's kind of out of his comfort zone, and he's still making an impact.
Well, it's the first time all day that Alex has had to sort of put Tenor in the backpack a little bit. The Imani has struggled against obviously one of the best EVs in the world. Freeze God is locking it down, cold as ice. Not a single, hair out of place for Freeze God as he finds a quadra kill on his favorite character.
This man's one of the best blasters in the world. Like, he's earned himself that title time and time again. And I feel like it's easy to forget until you see him on EV, and you see him comfortable on EV. I mean, even in the Drogo's game earlier, it looks phenomenal. And that's the thing. SSG almost always look good. It's just how good they look. Like, I mean, even now, all of these games going the length they have, like, it's just unfortunate for them that it's been 4-3 for NIP 3 times in a row. But this score, the 3-0, is very misleading into how this set and how SSG have been playing. So looking at the way things are going, if they win this map, like, they feasibly could start to pull things back in their favor. Overall, it's hard to beat NIP 4 times in a row, but there's 2 teams that right now I think I could give that to. One of them would be Na'Vi. The other one I might give to SSG.
Well, frontliners are good. They're banned out for a reason. They control the pace of the game. They control the space on the map. SSG have 3 of them, but as we head into the hyper late game here in Paladins, up past 15 minutes, these Wrecker 3s, Cauterized 3s all start to come online, and these tanks look a little bit more and more flimsy in the later rounds. Still doing a good job, I think, trading back and forth. Little Inferno Cannon for the boys. Doesn't get the kill, but he sure looked damn good doing it. Tenor with a little flavor play there as this fight still looks like it's going to go SSG's way. NIP just cannot find a stabilization.
Just watching, waiting. Someone's going to be able to get the touch. There's the overtime coming through. And that's the real thing I was wondering is, NIP, it was such an awkward fight, but they were locked down. Would anyone be able to get a touch, get overtime? And this is a small map. This is not a long push overall, so you buy yourself this much room.
Frost Bomb.
It's not a long time in overtime.
Pretty good route there onto one. Could have been worse, certainly. Ares trades it out quickly, but Alex, the Iron March continues. He finds 2. Good poke damage going out on a Freeze God. Freeze God needs to bail out, can't continue the pressure on Alex. Alex makes it out alive. It's the little things that matter here in the big moments between SSG and NIP.
There are 2 scenarios that gives you that. You either hit Eevee low enough that she has to fall back or you kill her. And either way, you do exactly what you need to, which is just get Freeze God out of the picture for a second. Everything goes so well for NIP when he's not there pressuring him out. Right now, though, Ruckus is going to be the story. Ares is going to be the story. No one's going to be able to get that touchdown. They almost get there, but they can't win 2 full fights.
Well, it's NIP that are continuously on the back foot here, and the man himself has been making it look easy. And look, this is like barely even last hitting. Diggy Dog was a last hit, but everybody else in this quadra kill for Freeze God was set up, followed through. Tenor got healed back to full HP. He did so much damage in that clip.
The man's good. Is the easy way to put it.
Man's not hot. Man's ice
Man's
cold.
not hot. He's ice cold. He's in the shoes of the Winter Witch exactly the way he would want to be, and playing her, think in a way that would make any and every EV player proud. Look at that 15, 10, and 13. But then you look at Alex, who is 26 and 11. If anybody on NIP steps up to just match him, this game shifts dynamically.
Yeah, he is the frontline shredder, though. Don't get it twisted. Sometimes you have those, Eevee's being pocketed by a Torvald. She's supposed to carry the game. Alex is supposed to carry this game for NIP. NIP barely get the chance to use any of their ultimates. Dragon comes out, but it looked like it had to be canceled. 2 for 2. Alex putting the team on his back, brother, as he chunks through 1, 2, and 3, I think, in this fight. Still alive, still kicking. Big shot there from Freeze God. Misses. He needs to get out, but he can't. There's too much damage. Opportunity and Chaos is going to continue to proc, no matter if you're hitting something or not. That's why you'll see people like Pre-Fire with Vivian. He got that bonus damage on that Eevee. Best believe.
I'm just going to say, if NIP close out this set with this game, they need to buy Alex the most expensive dinner he has ever been given. Like, this entire game is being won by this Vivian. The rest of the team is having their moments, but, I mean, that was literally, it was him and Bird that just happened to stay alive. And Bird almost died. He would have if it hadn't been for Alex. He's the only thing that is the saving grace right here, and he's what's keeping him going.
Bird and Bonker are doing a good job, too. Fernando played almost all day by Bonker. It's been awesome to see. Another one falls to the wayside. NIP, only the half comeback mechanic enabled for them, but it's enough. 13 streak burning for Vivian, 14 streak burning for Birds. Genos, overpower misses. They know who they want, and Vivian is the problem right now. Freeze God might be, if he starts to try and put more pressure onto this Vivian, do you think Tenor just starts to take off?
I feel like it. Like, I feel like that's the trade-off you have to make, right? Like, I feel like Bittner, he has a solid Imani, and it's just because, well, Freeze God is causing a lot of trouble. What a beautiful flick
back and forth.
From Alex. He gets the double kill. He comes in. That last one might as well have been his as well. That godlike could not have been more well-timed, because that is exactly how I described Alex right now. Again, if they win, this man deserves a steak dinner.
Oh my goodness, not that Longhorn.
All 5.
Not the Longhorn, not the Outback.
Kanga's steak dinners go to Alex for this set.
That man is eating right now. Vivian has been feasting on the front lines of SSG all game long. More and more poke damage from the backside of this fight. On to Khan, then to Ruckus, back to Khan, then to Barrack. 70 rounds in the clip, plus some thanks to the loadout car. 1 for 1 on the front side of this fight. Time and space juked out. Eevee to the back line. It's an annihilation. Everyone is falling to the wayside, shredded to pieces. Alex's Vivian has done damage this game to all of the front lines from Space Station. 1 minute on the clock. Are they going to be able to take this one down? Alex puts his foot down on the throat of SSG. They're smiling. They nod. They know who did the damage. Alex, phenomenal through the final fight.
Another 4-3. This time didn't come down to the 3-3-point fight, though.
He's got to give us an interview.
It came down to Alex.
Got to give an interview
just
after that.
Melting people left and right. And that's the thing. You can't feel good. Like, he took that entire game was Alex just flipping it on his head.
Yeah, it's tough. Later and later as the game goes, the record comes online. Shields just melt, disappear like Swiss cheese.
SSG got 50%. They got 3 kills. The only 2 people they didn't get rid of were Bird and Alex. And Alex killed every single person that decided to look at him in that fight.
Still smiles on the faces. They know that they fought hard, and they should be pretty proud of the effort they put up. 4-3 in every damn map that we saw today. Granted, all 4 of them did go to NIP when it was all said and done.
Yeah.
But what a war it was. Alex gives us one last look on the camera, and I'm pretty sure he's happy with that performance because it was a fairly average day for him up until that point.
And that was just like that moment, right? Especially if you look at the Maeve game on Serpent Peach, like he was almost non-existent for a lot of that, and when he was, it was FreezeGod taking him out. So to go from a very lackluster performance there to that performance on Brightmarsh just shows they never got in their own heads.
And not to flame him, my last kind of thought is that sometimes it's that way. Sometimes you're the guy getting pocketed by Torvald.
He did too well. He needs to be brought down.
You're supposed to distract that Maeve. Tenor that time, he was just being sat on by Eevees. That's why he wasn't able to really do much. Sometimes it's up to you to carry the game. That was a great set between these two titans. Let's get it back to the desk and round it up.
Well, advancing to 9-0 now, our NIP. They win 8 straight points this week, but today's match was a little more contentious, I would say, overall. But
8 straight games, maybe, not straight points. They definitely
right,
lost a lot of points along the way in this one.
8 straight maps is maybe the word I was looking for. Yeah, no.
Would you believe it, Dave? Sorry to cut you off, but the difference between this entire set, NIP have gotten 16 points and SSG got 12. Does that sound like a 4-0 to you?
No,
doesn't to me.
That's what I mean.
This is a weird set, dude. This was a weird one.
It was a weird one. One that could have gone all 7, honestly, if things just happened to go a different way. Alex really in that last one's the one who I think takes over that game.
Yeah.
And that's NIP's style. I mean, yesterday, Diggy Dog had a huge day. Everyone else played well.
Right.
But 155 damage from Alex, 130 from Bittner, 117 still from Diggy Dog. I mean, if it's not one guy, it's the other, and that's kind of what we've come to expect, I think, from this team.
Yeah.
Alex taking over game 4, though, but still, across the board, 4-3s. It's going to be hard to do after a week like this, but I think Space Station have to keep their heads a little high after this one.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, oh, man, I don't think we've ever seen that many lows. 38, and 11. I think that's the most we've ever seen.
I was saying took it over, but that's almost an understatement.
That is, ladies and gentlemen, 61 eliminations, 38 and 11.
So 6-something KD or 5-9 KD.
And very consistent on the performance from SSG. But Alex had 2 moments where he really popped off, at least in my memory. He had a 22-8 performance on Eevee on Jaguar Falls. So lackluster, not really the word I'd use to describe his play on the day, but what I would say is that him and Tenor definitely took these opportunities to both carry each other, lift each other up. This is probably some of the heaviest lifting we've seen in the set, especially being so contested. But this Vivian pick, you got to give it to the team as well, who decided this was the right choice. It certainly paid so many dividends for them, and they stay undefeated, but not without having to work for it. Huh? They had to work
That's absolutely true. They did. They had to flex the muscles. They had to work hard for it. You say, yeah, I know. You don't think about Vivian when you think about, oh, he's got a great flick on that champion. But we just one tap at the end of the Eevee, flip around, finish off the Barrack as well, help my team drive this one through.
It was a mind game. I mean, I appreciate the mind game. I'm going to celebrate Alex for what he did there because it's cool, the technical skill, but FreezeGod can stay in that ice block for 4 or 5 seconds, so he says, I'm going to shoot at Barrack because it also is a threat, valuable time, but because he turns around completely, FreezeGod says, oh, I'm out of there, and Alex is like, yeah, I was waiting for that. Turns around, catches him, says, you thought I wasn't paying attention? No, this is all to get you.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think Barrack's more if he gets him just on the side.
Right, I think that was just a little extra, a little dessert after the main course there. The difference maker, I think, in this one, the sort of theme we saw throughout the day, is it really just today was Bittner and Alex's day? Is that really the difference maker in your eyes?
To me, honestly, I think everyone played really well. I just think that Tenor and Alex switching off a couple roles, I think Tenor's Maeve was extremely impressive in the early Frog Isle game. I think they just kind of tipped the scales in NIP's favor.
Sure.
On a different day, FRZ God pops off the same way we saw them. He never had a real pop-off game. If we see him do that, I think SSG could have taken this set, but that was not today. That was not this timeline. This is the, where NIP have the Infinity Stone, so to speak.
Sure.
They are not letting anything go awry.
I mean, this is more of an open-ended question, but did you see anything? I mean, the last time these two teams met, it was not this close. I mean, there was a 4-3 in that set, but it was much more firmly in NIP's control. I mean, obviously we talked about Bittner, we talked about Alex. Was there something that you maybe saw differently from SSG today that allowed them to play so much closer?
I think I saw a lot of great change-ups as far as the dynamic of bringing Amani and Atlas into the fold. And I think that they almost brought it in too much to like prove that they could do it. And it wasn't. That's not why they did it. I don't want to say it that way, but it's almost like we need to incorporate. They know strong. Their big thing from last week was we need to incorporate Imani and Atlas. But there are sometimes now that you don't always have to do it. And I think sometimes Cassie would have been better in the lineup for them, and they went to Imani. And I also just think that they really missed out on giving the Genos to Bird 3 games in a row. It was something that actually helped them a lot in Jaguar Falls, and they never put pressure onto the support role. They got their basically front line. They got their first pick front line and support every game. So as far as really applying pressure, it's part of what NIP does because they have the ban Pip, but it's also something that SSG can improve on for sure.
Well, lots to improve on, but NIP looking good week after week, and wouldn't you have guessed it, they're standing by yet again for another winner's interview. Send it to them to hear their thoughts.
Yeah, we had to change some of the names. Nick decided to step in here as it comes through. I do still have Bird standing next to me, but Tinner, I guess I'll ask you the question since you're on camera.
Yep.
4 threes all day. It's still a 4-0 for you guys. You keep your undefeated record, but it seemed a little shaky throughout all of it. How was the team feeling through the set?
I mean, it was a very sloppy day from us. Our comms were down, our performance was down, but every game was a 4-3, I think, and we managed to pull through the last fight, which is what matters in the end.
And I think, good teams are good at making us make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, when you're winning, you're winning, and things feel good, comms are flowing, but when a team like SSG is able to kind of get in our face and put us under pressure, I think that's what we've been doing to teams, right? That's what happens when you put a team under pressure. They make mistakes. We made a couple today, but we'll be better for it in the long run.
All right, Bird, so a question for you.
Sure,
there was a lot of 4-3s today.
Yeah.
Every game, I think. How do you feel about going into the next weeks knowing that you kind of struggled today, even if you came out on top?
We're a little bit bruised, I think, but it's good that, despite all those 4-3s, we still get that 4-0. It's good for the map differential. It's good statistically. But what it's also good for is it shows that even when put under pressure, we can still perform. We can still find a way every single time to come out on top.
Yeah, what he said.
The one last question I really have is just, you're going into Bright Marsh, and admittedly, it looks like SSG can take this map, especially that last point fight, and it does come down to Bird and Alex kind of versus the world. Everyone else died very early on.
Yeah, you kind of got dunked on. That was tough.
Did you expect Alex to come through and have such a crazy performance on Vivian?
I mean, I know it's possible that he can do it. It wasn't in my mind when I came into the draft, but I'm happy it happened because I had a rough game.
Well, it sounds like you guys are, still successful overall. 4-0, even though it was maybe a little closer than you wanted. You still stay undefeated. And you still stay up at the top. So thank you for your time. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back with set number 2, VP and the Knights.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Brought to you by Skillshop, High-Res Videos, Evil Mojo, iNap, Steel Series, Respawn.